Oh man, it's here. Hello, everyone. Welcome. GCX 2021 is kicking off, and we've got a ton of great stuff for you. My name is Rukari, and this lovely individual that's, I
I'm
believe, to
Sam.
my right, your left. That
Wait,
is Sam, and yeah,
you're my
it's
left,
this way,
I
right?
think.
No. I know you're on my
No,
right.
if you, no, you're
No,
on my
see,
left.
I got
Yeah,
it.
like
You've got it. Yeah,
look at
it's
it.
right
Look
there.
at us. Pretend high five. It looks so weird on our side because we're facing like the same. But to
There's the
y'all,
high
it's
five.
movie
We made
magic.
it.
So there
That
you
was
go.
the most, beautiful intro that I'm sure that you
Yeah,
have ever
easy.
seen. That's just it. We're professionals. We make it happen. You've probably seen
Mm-hmm.
our beautiful, bright, shining faces on all sorts of bits trying to get you to get your tickets because, well, we're in space. We're in
We
space.
are.
I'm in a space, but we are in space. And
We're in
God, this
space. How do you know? No, we're like shoved in a corner of the space station. Like we're totally in space right now.
it's
That's where we
exciting,
exist.
though. I finally get to be a part of this. And I guess, Sam, I'm going to tee up for this
Yeah.
one. This is my first GCX. So I
Yeah.
need you to give me and anyone else who may be new to this the rundown. Like, what can I expect? What is it like?
Well, this convention in particular is very unique right now. One, it's virtual, obviously, as most conventions have been the past year. And this one is in a virtual space now, a space station, we should say, which is pretty bonkers. But this convention has gone through so many level ups, we'll say. It
Yeah,
started from just in a bar
it all
to
started in a
Destiny
bar.
Community Con to Guardian Con, and now here we are at GCX Gaming Community Expo, so that we can be more inclusive to everybody else in the gaming community. And we base ourselves around charity. We raise for St. Jude. There is the block going on right now for all of the GCX event. It's, I think, a week long usually, or 5 days or so, and it's been incredible. We've raised over $3 million so far.
$3
The heck.
million already.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Next
That's
big push is
absolutely
4
wild.
million. That is, it honestly is really wild. Are you excited though to hopefully
Look,
next year get in person,
what do you mean? Hopefully, no, there's no hopefully. Look, I'm vaxxed and ready to rock. Like, hey, I need the in person. So what was it now? A couple of weeks ago? Not even a
It was
couple of
like
weeks
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were down in Florida. We got to check out
Mhm.
Rose and Shingle Creek, and we got to see the space. And
Yeah.
I just remember looking up, I'm like, this space is incredible. And your little smuggler,
It's
oh, you haven't been here. You're
beautiful.
like, you
Yeah, I
haven't
was
been here
like,
for
oh,
it.
you've been here before?
Yeah,
Well,
let me show you around. Come on, check this out. So yeah, I'm
here you
excited to
are.
be a part of it here, and I can't wait for next year already. And we haven't even
Yeah.
gotten into the panels or anything like that. It's a ton of fun.
No, but speaking of, let's go ahead and kick off the main event with GCX's charity director, Ben Bowman, as he interviews Emily Callahan, the Chief Marketing and Experience Officer at ALSAC, St. Jude, and Miguel, a former St. Jude patient and current ALSAC employee.
Here at GCX, and I am joined by Emily Callahan today, the ALSAC Chief Marketing and Experience Officer. That's my introduction for you. And now I'm going to ask
I see
you,
us not on
who
screen
are
anymore, so
you
I
and
figure
what
we're
do
good
you
to
do at St.
run our
Jude?
mouth.
Okay, we just start
Well,
talking over it.
hey,
I'm Ben
Professor, it's great to chat with you today. We can call you Ben from now on since we're on a first name basis, and I'll drop the formal titles. You've told everybody my title. That's indeed what I get to do at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for ALSAC, which is the fundraising and awareness organization for St. Jude. But really what I am here today is I'm here as a fangirl of the gaming community and of you and what everybody is gearing up to do, because what you all are gathering to do makes this mission possible. And so I'm here in a spirit of gratitude and thankfulness and as the fangirl for all of you all.
Well, that is, I can tell you that we're all honored by that because we love working with you all. We've been working, GCX and St. Jude have been working together for 5 or almost 6 years now. And in all of our different iterations and format, we've raised about $15 million for St. Jude. Is there anything there that you'd like to specifically highlight across that time period, work that you've been doing in the hospital over the past 5 years that these funds have empowered?
Yeah. So can we just pause for a second and say $15 million in 5 years? I mean, can we just celebrate? I hope there's like a sound effect that somebody's going to share behind the scenes. it's extraordinary. And so, at St. Jude, we're leading the way the world understands, treats, and defeats childhood cancer and other life-threatening diseases. And I want to put that 5 years in context, because you all came to support us and gathered as a community worldwide at such a critical time. At the time, we were just starting what was our largest ever strategic investment. It was a $7 billion strategic plan. And I want you to know the difference that some of that 15 million has made as part of that plan. We were able to dramatically increase the number of patients that come to St. Jude to be treated around the world. And hopefully you all know this, that at St. Jude, no family ever receives a bill. Because you give, we can pay for treatment and travel and housing and food. We also announced the St. Jude Global Alliance, which I just heard this morning has over 100 partners across the world working to increase survival rates in places where, quite frankly, cancer is still a death sentence. So we can talk a little bit about that. And then every morning I come to campus and I go to my office and I see about to open and coming out of the ground, the Advanced Research Center. This is a $412 million research center that hopefully is where we're going to discover the next cures and then be able to deliver those out to the world. But we need your help now more than ever, because we don't do anything small at St. Jude, just like you all don't do anything small, right? You start in a restaurant, now you're this giant event. We've just announced an 11. Yeah, we're space. We're going to space too, which we can talk about. But we just announced an $11.5 billion strategic plan. It's the largest plan in our history.
Wow.
And we can do that, quite frankly, because of the confidence we have in all of you all being part of our family and supporting us.
Well, that is a big responsibility, gamers. Everybody who's listening, they trust us. So we need to make sure that trust is not misplaced. So you brought up a couple of things that I really, really love about St. Jude. And actually, I like to tell our St. Jude story at Rare Drop is getting to know kind of very intimately all of the things that you do at St. Jude. Every year as we work together, there's new research, there's new things that are highlighted. You pointed out that no family ever receives a bill from St. Jude. And that was like the door opener for us. We were like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Like, that's the kind of thing, because the internet can be cynical. That's the kind of thing that we were like, we want something that's just so high above bar that it represents like almost an idealistic quality of commitment to a goal. And that has always been so incredibly impressive to me. But alongside that, you are sharing all of your research freely. And I get asked, I think as our story at Rare Drop has gone and GCX has gone with St. Jude, I get asked this question more often because it's something I'm passionate about, is research. And the fact that all of your research is published for free. What is the catch there? Like, how does that's what I get asked all the time. How is that even possible?
Yeah. Well, first of all, now I get why you are called the professor. So that's good. Now I get it. But let's back up for a second. Even in the no bill, you're right. There's no business model on the planet that has that. So I don't want to underestimate the power of that, because in our view, that's how healthcare should be. You take the economics out of it, right? It's available for all. There's equity in that. That's part of our DNA story, which is so timely for the conversations we're having in the world today. And then, in that same inclusive mindset, we don't have the corner on all the answers, right? It takes collaboration, working together. So from day one, just as we've opened our doors to all, we freely share our research. So, hey, look, we have intellectual property. Every organization and group does, but our philosophy is that if we hold the knowledge, then we're not fulfilling our mission, right? We're not empowering doctors and scientists to build upon that to save more children worldwide. That was Danny Thomas's vision when he started St. Jude, that no child should die in the dawn of life. So we freely share the research with the scientific world so we can advance those cures. So a great example of that is the St. Jude cloud. We talk all about this stuff in cloud computing. It's the same for us. We have so much data. So being able to upload that, for example, when we mapped the genome, so we have all these cancerous tumor samples we've collected over the years, so many enriched answers coming from that is rewriting the textbooks on how you treat childhood cancer. So we're uploading that data, sharing that freely so that, again, people can build upon those discoveries. And that's how we make progress together, which I think is perfectly reflective of your community, right? This isn't one person. This is a whole community coming together to say, we're higher minded. We have an ideal of a world that should be better. And you're using your passions and your professions to do that. So there's not a catch. we share, we talk about it, and we believe in that. And we are best by collaborations, just like this one. It's the same for researchers and doctors everywhere.
And that was what blew me away the first time I visited, and we went into the research wing with all of the flags hanging.
Yeah.
One for every country that a researcher who's working there is from, and there's so many hanging in that atrium, and it really brought to mind the reality that the mission that St. Jude has taken upon itself really is an international mission. The as I mentioned earlier, the almost idealistic commitment to all of these goals includes worldwide efforts that you are now engaged with. So could you talk a little bit about what St. Jude is doing internationally? Because just like we are all working together as a community, we recognized online, the internet is international. Right. You can get anywhere from anywhere on the internet. So what kind of work is St. Jude doing for the international community?
I'm so honored to answer this question. It's a huge passion point of mine, and it's actually one of the teams I lead for ALSAC. So you're right. We can joke and say the internet knows no boundaries, but cancer doesn't either. And so, look, here in the United States, we've made tremendous progress. And this is really thanks to you all giving to St. Jude, the work we've done, and then sharing that out with others. So, in the United States, cancer is still the leading cause of death by disease in U.S. children. We've made great progress. So 1 in 5 children still die from their disease. But globally, particularly in low and middle income countries, it's a death sentence. 4 out of 5 children are going to die, and die quickly and often painfully. And that's not acceptable to us. So we've been working globally for 2 decades, but we brought back a really amazing rock star of a doctor and a researcher who trained at St. Jude, popped off to Harvard, came back. And as I mentioned, because of the work we've been doing together in the last 5 years, we launched the St. Jude Global Alliance. So we work in partnership with hospitals and clinics and foundations all across the world to see if we can try to tackle this problem together. And in the time we've been partnering, we announced a powerful partnership with the World Health Organization. So our goal is to raise the overall survival rate for pediatric cancer, for those 6 most common forms of childhood cancer, from 20% today, so really a death sentence, to 60% by 2030. So I meant it when I said, hey, we've done a lot, and 15 million is powerful, and I can assure you there's been tremendous impact, but I want you to get excited for what's ahead and know we still need your help. So we've got big, bold goals with the World Health Organization. We're exploring new partnership ideas with them to actually deliver drugs in a more equitable way and powerful way globally. So there's a ton going on around the world, but that's the beauty of St. Jude, just like you all. You bring people together that may not politically align, and they have countries that don't speak together, but gaming brings them together. It's equally passionate for this mission of St. Jude. So we convene countries together, and governments and organizations and hospitals and clinics and foundations all around that same idea that no child should die in the dawn of life anywhere. So a lot more work to do. I'm excited what's ahead, and we've got some bold goals we need to do by 2030. So want to do them together?
Yes, I think I like big goals. I'm a big fan of big goals. It's always astonishing to me every time I speak to somebody from St. Jude. There's a different passion point, and it illustrates again like the intentional deep focus that St. Jude has on every aspect of life, whether we're talking about patient care, which is still astonishing to me. Or we're talking about research. Every single one of those things is touched by that focus. So I'm always curious to ask this question, right? Gaming has become a focus for not just fundraising, but it's become a treatment modality for certain types of diseases, for people who are not neurotypical like myself, who I can get a prescription video game now. Gaming is becoming a very unique and dynamic way to approach treatment. So I'm curious about 2 things. One, obviously, I'd love to know what St. Jude's near-term plans are for the gaming space and things like that. But overall, I'm really curious. Does St. Jude have an approach, and how are you looking at gaming as a thing to use in the hospital as part of treatment?
Those are great questions. So let's pause for just a second and I want to underscore a point you made, Ben, about the power of gaming. And that's what we've seen in the last 5 years of our partnership, right? It's the power of people coming together. You've seen people take this from a personal passion point to creating careers out of this. And then I think it's powerful. Like, we're an example, the work we've done at St. Jude, what y'all have collectively raised, of the power of this community. And then to your point, it's going far beyond. There are careers built off of gaming. We have an entire division here that thinks about this and the potential of how we maximize the community together. We're taking it into spaces as a way to connect. There's a gamification of all things, right? Companies are thinking about that all over the space and place. So I think the easiest way I know how to illustrate it is the power of what I see here. It's not only something that we can use to educate and inform and then think about ways to gamify what we do, but I don't ever want to lose the power of what it's like just to sit down and play a game. And you know this, so many of our patients, they're not defined by their disease, but the disease can be hard, it can be painful, the treatment can be difficult. And you see them light up when they just, whether it's in their patient room or in one of our 4 housing facilities, just get to sit and play games. And that's another way for them to stay connected in community when they can often be isolated here. You've seen what happens when you all come. It's like massive celebrity day, right? Their faces light up. But look, when I throw out all these big things, or we talk about cancer or the $11 billion plan, the main thing I want those of you watching here today is to remember that these are kids just like yours. The kids in your family, that this is family, just like it is for you all. And so just as much as this community is meant to you, it means to us in terms of giving our patient family something to do for fun, a place of connection, powerful funds raised. It makes them not feel alone. They know your community's behind them. And then there's infinite possibilities, I think, for what we can do, not only in fundraising and marketing and science and technology. I think we've only scratched the surface on the power of gaming as a country and a world.
I would completely agree with that. Yeah, I think everybody loves games and the stories that we get to tell. I think that's the, to me, what I've seen from streaming and creating content for so long is realizing the embodying power that games can bring to people, especially when you don't feel strong yourself. Games have been something in my life that have helped me get through some of my darkest times, because it gives me a place to go where I feel like, I have control, or a place where I can go and just relax and not think about everything, because those are both things that are my needs. And it's been so incredible to me to see how St. Jude has just embraced everything about gaming. From when we first showed up. I don't know if you know this story or not, but it feels like a good point to tell it. Our first year we fundraised for you. We didn't talk to you at all. I just pulled your PayPal link from your front page, and I put it into Stream Elements, and that's what was our donation button the first year. And it wasn't until Thursday that Zach tracked us down, and he was like, "Hey, we like working with people, right?" He's like, we would love to help you and help out. And I was just so blown away, because I had been, my entire experience as a gamer is your hobby's not important to us. And then to have somebody to have a giant organization as well respected and tenured as St. Jude, have a dedicated gaming person reach out and say, "Hey, wish you would have reached out this year. But let's talk about next year," blew my mind. It was absolutely incredible that intention was still there, even so early on, when everyone else was still kind of looking at us sideways.
Can I tell you my story in reverse of that? Same thing. So first of all, that's the power of the mission. So my job is to help steward the St. Jude brand. It's the greatest professional joy of my life to get to do this. And so that's the power of it. If we're doing our jobs right, it's that you felt like, hey, no problem, I can go out there and I can raise money and make a difference. You felt like the brand was your own, even without an official partnership. But I vividly remember the day that same guy, Zach, came into my office as the CMO and said, "Hey, look, you need to know about the power of this community and its potential and its reach." And he built one heck of a business case and said, "This is the power, this is the reach, this is how it's bigger than sports. And here's so much more we can do with that." I said, we're sold, build a business case. He got in front of the CEO. And I told you, right, you are our heroes here. We talk all the time as an executive team, even with our board, about what this community has done and how much more we can do together. So let's go do it together this week.
Absolutely. So we've talked for a little while. We're going to wrap it up. If there's anybody that's out there that's watching and you could say something to them that, you think like this is the thing for you that always inspires you to give each year, what would you say? Yeah, really easy question for somebody who's so deeply involved, I'm sure. Pick one of the million things.
I could tell you a million stories. I could tell you my whys. I could tell you about the pictures I keep above my desk about patients who've gone on. But this is the thing that I think is St. Jude's about a fundamental truth that every single one of you watching today, I bet, believes just like I do, which is that kids should have a chance to grow up. Kids should have a chance to grow up. And then the second thing is I want you to know that you have power to make a difference in that. We talk big numbers, but our founder had a really beautiful saying when he started, Danny Thomas. He said, I'd rather have $1 from 1 million people than 1 million from one. And that's how this place has been built. We took what was a death sentence for kids and we're saving their lives. And we have passion and energy and belief that we can make the boldest commitment in our history because of each of you watching today. So I don't care if you give 5 cents. I don't care if you give $1. I don't care if you don't give anything and just go tell others about it. It matters. This is the greatest, I think, reflection of humanity is what we have done together that's now embodied in St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So let's do it. Let's give all kids a chance to grow up. Your work this week and your commitment to sharing the story and giving matters. That's what I would say.
Incredible. Wow. I'm floored. What an answer. Thank you so much. I'm from me and everybody at GCX for taking some time to sit down and talk to us about the incredible commitment and mission that St. Jude has, and thank you for expressing your gratitude for all of the work that we're doing. It certainly gives me butterflies in my stomach, so I'm sure that everyone else is equivalently happy. I guess that would that'll be it. Yeah.
It was my honor. It was my honor. What y'all have built is incredible. And I'm glad we're about to follow and you're going to hear firsthand what the work means, I think, in getting talked to a pretty remarkable person that I have the privilege of calling colleague and friend. So
this is an intense week for me. I'm really really grateful that you and everybody have just given us so much of your time this year because I can't express how deeply impactful when somebody from St. Jude, somebody who's a very visible figure or who has a C-suite title or anybody who comes and talks, it really transcends all of that doubt that they have built into their head, that it can't possibly be this good. But hearing you speak about it, it's just such a great reminder because I say it to them all the time, right? But hearing it from others is just so deeply impactful. So thank you.
I can't wait to get y'all back here so you can see. But that's the point.
Excited.
Like this place doesn't exist without you all and what you're doing. And we just know that we are cheerleading right alongside you to watch what you have built from this tiny event to this global powerhouse and all the creativity and ingenuity you've applied to keeping people connected. And then there are I probably are getting close to saying millions of people who've learned about the St. Jude mission because of the gaming community that wouldn't otherwise know. That's the only way we continue to exist and grow. So yes, pat yourselves on the back and know that we couldn't do it without you. And again, I started by saying I'm a fangirl, so I'll close by saying I'm a total fangirl. I'm excited.
Thank you.
Callahan and Ben Bowman for that really, really moving interview. I had it on and I was like, wait, no, hang on. Gotta take care of the tears. But we really do appreciate all the time that St. Jude and everybody that's been working there and working with us to put all of this together and giving us their valuable time. It means the absolute heckin' world. But we're actually going to be continuing a series of panels and content for y'all today as we dive into the world of comics.
Oh, it's gonna be a good time. And look, I don't know what your background is, but let's put it this way: Marvel, DC, Invincible, The Boys. Like, there's so many different avenues to roll down, and there's so much information out there. And I gotta admit, I'm definitely the person who knows a bit about each. Jack of all trades, but master of none. So I can't wait to see what's gonna happen in this next segment. Just kind of as I can get some backstory on what I need to be paying attention to and what I don't need to be paying attention to. Because the universes are vast. Do I still read?
Really, yeah, like, do you still read?
Do I still read?
Like, yeah, do you read, Rukari? Like, do you know words good?
I read my son's permission slips when he has to go somewhere. That's about it.
But did he get signed?
So, admittedly, I was never a comic book reader. Wasn't my forte. I was definitely the sports kid. I was the jock. I was the athlete. But I loved reading, but never got into comics. Now I partake anecdotally. So I'm definitely into movies and the shows. Like, for instance, Marvel. I will watch that religiously. And I found that my love for Marvel has grown. And what started with Iron Man, or if you want to go back further, with Hulk movies, once I saw the continuity that happened, I would then go explore further. Then I would read into like what I had been missing. So I won't read newest editions of comics that are coming out, but I'll get people like, Technique or Nighthawk Plays, and I'll listen to the content they put out about said movies so I can further understand. So it's like the TLDR. I get Sparks Notes. That's what it is. Is Sparks Notes still a thing? Did I just date myself there? Does everybody know I'm in my mid-30s?
Does everybody know that we used to use that for our papers when you didn't want to read something?
Absolutely. You guys know what Sparks Note is in chat,
I never did that, Mrs. Smith. What are you talking about?
No, absolutely not.
What do you mean?
Oh, what's that? You have the Sparks Note on your desk because you know exactly what your students are doing? Whoops. Totally bad.
It's like every teacher it's hey, I've done this before too. And it's like, did you have Sparks Notes 20 years ago? I don't think so.
Absolutely. Well, what about you? Do you dabble in any of these extended universes, whether Marvel or DC or anything?
I really haven't recently, but many, many, many years ago, I used to actually read the Walking Dead comics. Those ones I thoroughly enjoyed. And then as they brought out the show, it was fun to kind of pinpoint like, oh, wait, that's not who dies. Hold up.
Oh, so does that ruin it? Does that ruin it for you?
They all die. No, it was just really interesting. It's like being in two different universes at the same time. It was interesting.
I've only done that one time, and you did allude to, obviously reading something that's different than happens on screen. I did it with The Martian. I had never read any of the Harry Potters before I saw the movie or anything like that, but I read The Martian, and I was literally in the movie theater about to see a sneak preview of it. So it was like a week before it came out, and I was finishing the book because I heard it was so good. So I read the last 50 pages as I'm sitting there, and I remember watching the movie, and I finally understood why people get so upset that they deviate from what happens in the book, because the book was perfect. And then I got to see it on the big screen. I'm like, that's not what happens.
Why they take that out?
He's not Rocket Man. He just understood that was a stupid play and did the safe thing. But no.
You probably read the book.
That's why I don't read the books anymore. Now, again, I leave it to the experts to tell me what I need to know. And speaking of, I think as we've got 30 seconds left, we are ready to kick off our next bit. So as we're talking Marvel Cinematic Universe, as we're talking DC, as we're talking Invincible, The Boys, perfect time for us to toss to the folks that run Commix. And of course, I'm talking about Technique and Nighthawk Plays. This time, though, special guest Stephen Mooney, Declan Shalvey. They're going to talk to you about comics. So we'll see you in a bit. You go hang with them and enjoy.
All right, we go. Don't be nervous. All right.
We're fine.
Ready?
Everything is fine. 5, 4, 3.
So is Commix pre-recorded or is it live?
I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if they
All right,
shout us
live.
out.
Hello,
everyone.
GCX. What's up, space? How we doing?
How's the moon? Hope you guys got plenty of oxygen because today's show is going to be pretty breathtaking. That's my one for the month. Don't get upset at me. All right.
What's up, Frank? How you doing, man? Happy
I'm
GCX.
doing good. Here, man, this is fantastic. We're here at GCX. We're in space with all of you guys, and thank you for being here, guys and gals. Today is a very, very special day because today is technically our premiere show. I mean, the shows that we did before, yes, we did 5 to 6 episodes before, and we understand that, but those were introductories, so you get a little bit of, sauce on who is, Technique and who is Matt. But today,
Where is this voice coming from?
it's coming from deep down inside because I'm super excited. And let me tell you, is that today is going to be awesome. And we have a great show for you. So let's go through a little bit of stuff, Matt. Let's talk about comics first and let everyone know what comics is.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who haven't checked us out yet, my name is Matt, aka Night Hawk Plays. That handsome gentleman over there is Frank, aka Technique. We come to you every Saturday at approximately 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over here on Rare Drop, and talking to you about everything comic book, superhero, whether it be Invincible, right? Obviously, we're talking about Loki now. No spoilers. 2nd episode, amazing, right, Frank?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about what's going on with Loki and everything. I want to talk about it, but we can't.
We can't.
This
we
show
don't
is
have
not
time.
about Loki. Coming next week. Okay, next Saturday. And that's when we open up. But anyway, comics is pretty much going to be that Saturday morning cartoon for you that you missed when, remember X-Men used to come on right before those stupid movies on Fox, just ruin the whole day of cartoons. They don't do that anymore. We're bringing you some great comic stuff. But today's show is going to be a very special one because not only are we part of GCX today, which is, thank you for being here for that.
Thank you for GCX, obviously, for having us and working with us on this. Uber excited, obviously, for now and the future.
Yes, absolutely. But today we have special guests, artists and comic book writers, Stephen Mooney and Declan Stalvey. I was going to say Shivey. I was told to mess up his name, but I won't. It's Stalvey.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, top right, you got Stephen Mooney and Declan Shalvey. How you guys doing? Good afternoon or good evening, because you guys are that way somewhere.
Early evening, yeah.
It's technically evening now, as of right now. But thanks for having us.
Yeah, man, pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here, and I'll have to say it was great having you come in and talk to us for a little bit. You're very, very busy. You're working on some amazing stuff. But before we get started, because I know the audience, we have a lot of young and veteran. I don't want to say the word old because I know some of you got, I have cranky knees as well. Out there, we would love to learn a little bit more about you and what you do. Either one can take the lead.
Rock, paper, scissors, whatever works.
You go, Stephen.
Okay, I'm Stephen Mooney. I've been working in pro comics for about 21 years now, I think, which is probably about a year or give or take more than Deck. Maybe we kind of broke in around the same time. And I've worked at all the major companies, Marvel, DC, Image, Valiant, IDW, Dynamite. Who else is there?
Just keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
So a little bit of everything, as Declan, I'm sure he'll tell you. So we know a little bit about everything when it comes to comics, or we think we do. So we're glad to be here to chat with you guys. It's a good vibe going on. So
yeah.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
See, I saw you sipping a little something there, trying to get the juices flowing.
Love it. I love it.
And my Blade Runner glass.
Hey, there you go. Perfect. Cheers.
We're in the space, right?
Declan, how about you?
Similar to Mooney. I've worked for probably most publishers, mainly as an artist, but like more recently as a writer. But I'm kind of most known for doing a run with Warren Ellis on Moon Knight from a few years ago. But I've gotten to work on things like Batman and Wolverine, and all the stuff I loved as a kid. Steve and I would have similar kind of experience and backgrounds, but like I think we've had a good amount of experience across the board from starting out to established pros to writing to drawing, what have you.
You ran the gamut through the comic industry to where you are today.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's destroyed us.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hey, it kept you here. I see Steven go, yeah, you got a little gray right there. Is that because you were working with Declan, or is that because you were working on too many projects?
Mostly Declan.
Oh, understandable.
Yeah, you almost had a spit take.
You know, Bruce
That's
Wayne
fair.
went gray after working with so many Robins as well, but we
True.
wouldn't call you the Batman and Robin duo. We would call you more of the Avengers duo going on, because the work that you've been working on are pretty nice, and we'll get into that later. But first, we have some questions from you in chat. Feel free. This is a
Yes.
party. You are a part of Commix as well, as always. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns as in, what are you working on? Because I want you to work on this. Throw it in the chat, and we'll definitely bring it to the gentleman to answer. Now, we like to start off with a little icebreaker, and the icebreaker would be top 3 projects that you worked on over the years.
No pressure.
Me first, or me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Top 3. Well, I have
Your top 3.
Yeah,
Because
the top 3 that
we don't
worked
have.
on.
Even though you have children, right? People have children out there. You always say you have a favorite, but you never tell them which is your favorite. But today we're going to go ahead and spoil that. So go ahead.
My favorites. Well, my absolute favorite would be my own book, which is Half Past Danger, just because that's so close to my heart.
Yes.
But my favorite Marvel was probably Black Widow, because I'm a big Black Widow fan, and that was a big deal for me. That was last year. We worked with Jodie Houser, and I love the character from the movies. I've always loved Natasha in the comics,
Nice.
and I'm all into that whole super spy genre stuff. That's the same kind of character in my own book. Love that. At DC, it's got to be Grayson, because I'm a big Dick Grayson fan. Speaking of Robins, we all know who the real Robin is, the first
right.
and best. So,
Oh God, you got
I
Matt
did a
pulling stuff out of
decent
the
run on
shelf.
that book. Yeah, with Tom King when he was just turned
I'm
into
a very
Tom
big
King.
Nightwing fan.
Oh, nice.
My
nice,
extreme
nice.
stick.
That's
There you go.
That's the beating stick.
My wife uses it on me. We're good.
Probably had it coming. So definitely Grayson at DC, but and Batman's in that, so you've got Batman's always a factor, and that's the only time I've really drawn Batman professionally is in those issues. So yeah, that would be me. Half Past Danger, Black Widow, and Grayson.
Awesome. I'm gonna hold a question for you. I'm gonna make sure I have to do this so I know I have it.
Yeah.
Declan, what about you?
Yeah, Moon Knight would definitely be one of them. The thing I mentioned earlier. I know there's going to be a TV. Nobody knows who he is, but there's going to be a TV show of him.
Grabbing that question too.
Yeah, but that was an amazing opportunity, and I loved working on that book. Second would probably be the project I did afterwards, which was Injection with the same writer, Warren Ellis, which was a kind of a weird genre, twisty mystery. Yeah, it's a very weird book
okay.
that covers a lot of different places. But that was my first kind of big creator-owned series, which I loved. I love working on, and I guess the third one would probably be, probably I did a book called Savage Town, which was the first creator-owned book that I wrote. It was about like gangsters in a city in Ireland. And it was weird. Like it wasn't superheroes, it wasn't action adventure and thing. It was more of a kind of a straight up crime story. And I put kind of similar to Stephen in Half Past Danger. Like a lot was put into that I hadn't really done before. And it's more of a kind of like an indie book, but it was very creatively challenging and rewarding.
Peace.
Okay, so. This brings up something very interesting, Declan. Now you write and you can write and draw, obviously, right?
Yeah, Stephen too.
Yeah,
You're both
okay,
artists
great.
and writers, yeah.
So me and Matt were going back and forth talking about this. We really want to know, what do you prefer? Do you prefer drawing or writing? I'm going to go off of my, and we're going to take a gander guess right here. I'm going to guess that Steve likes to draw more than write, but he'll dabble in both, and maybe Declan likes to write more than draw. What would you say, Matt? First. What are you thinking?
Me? Matt?
Yeah,
what am I thinking?
think?
I mean, I would say drawing. I think artist. I feel like you get a little, even though writing is very creative, like you've both created, well, Stephen, you've created your own stories now, and Declan, you as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool too. I mean, I think we've all collectively had created our own stories, but there's something about just sitting down and drawing, inking, and penning. So I feel like that kind of may be the route where this may be going. Thoughts?
So which one do you guys choose?
Well, me, you're right. Yeah, it's definitely drawing. I feel a lot more confident drawing because I've done it for so long. I've been writing for, Jesus, it's 8 years now. I was going to say I've just started writing, but the first Half Past Danger was 2013.
Wow,
oh, man.
Which is eight years
feels
ago,
like
so
yesterday.
Yeah.
But there's a major caveat to this, and I'm sure Declan will agree with me. I love to write for other people because I don't have to draw it then. And because there's this whole debate that rages through comics, all the fanboys want to say the writer's more important, the artist is more important, the colorist, whoever. regardless of who's more important, just the man hours, the woman hours in the chair, drawing is the harder, more physical task. So if I can write a script, but now don't get me wrong, it could take a week to write a decent script for a single issue, and send that to somebody else and have that come back in a month and it's all drawn really nicely. That's probably the apex. that's the end game. That's the end game right there. That's what we're reaching for. Like when you can get to that position and do that regularly and still have your own project you're drawing on the side or writing it as well. That's the sweet spot for me. Get some other sucker to do it.
It's worked out kind of weird because we're both Stephen and I are working on something that we're writing and not drawing, and
nice,
great. You know, I mean, you're still being creative, but you like it's not the man hours like Stephen was saying. Like you know, we're
or lady hours.
Or lady hours. It's just less. It's a bit more mentally taxing maybe, but like it's also mentally taxing to be drawing on top of like the amount of hours you put in the chair every day is really taxing. But I actually, you know, I'd like to play up to the you know, artiste thing and say writing I prefer, but actually no, I prefer drawing. I don't like writing.
Okay.
I like
the difference.
Oh,
no, I like it when it's done. You know, I like when I have written it.
Okay. You don't like doing the work. You just want to snap your fingers and it's done.
It would be great. That would be great. Just because I just struggle with it more in that I always find there's something else to be done. You know, like there's a cover. I should probably get that done first because it's just more naturally. I can go into a state where I draw, where I get very zen, and you're just in it. Writing's different because you're kind of like computing things all the time, and I find like I have to force myself to sit down and actually do it. But I like having done it, and I like the experience. Don't get me wrong, but it's a different set of mental skills. Whereas with drawing, like I just genuinely, you know, especially inking. Inking is just my favorite thing to do.
Oh wow, you like inking? I hate inking.
So when you talk about the comic book world, obviously you guys have had your foot in the door for a while, and you've been doing a bunch of things, whether it's been self-creating, you know, Half Past Danger, or working with Warren Ellis on Moon Knight, and anything and everything between. You know, the industry right now is very unique where we are today. So before we get into movies and TVs, specifically with the comic world, where do you see it going post-pandemic? Obviously, there's been a bunch of things happening on where we are now post-pandemic, which hopefully is right around the corner. Where do you see it going?
What do you mean by it?
It's a great question.
So, like, you know, before all this stuff happened, you would go to the comic book store and get hard copies of comics. You get excited, get figures and stuff like that, hang out with your friends. Well, the pandemic probably put a wedge in a lot of that stuff for everybody. I've seen a lot of comic book shops close up. Very heartbreaking stuff, especially local shops. Where do you see it going post-pandemic? Do you think the comic book shop is going to come back? Do you think work is going to start overflowing with projects for you? Or are you not going to see any difference at all? What do you think?
I think the way they're delivered, we're definitely going to see a difference. But I think that was coming before the pandemic. I think the shops that are held strong and are there now, I think we'll see them, that they've proved that they're hanging around. They're not going anywhere. Because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm dying to get back just to that social scene. If nothing else.
Absolutely.
Just to go in and whatever discussions, talk about the TV shows, talk about the new books. I do think single issues, though, I think they're on a ticking clock. I mean, I don't think graphic novels or trades will ever be going away, because you'll have in my opinion, you'll have your section in the store. You've got your toys, you'll have your graphic novel collections. And then I think that the single issues will probably go digital, and then you'll just get printed collections, like maybe like the Japanese market or the French market. But I can't see stores going away. It's so niche still, but they're so essential. And I mean, you just know nobody fell out of love, I think, with comics during the pandemic. I certainly didn't. If anything, it's kind of reinforced. I was maybe taking stuff for granted, but as far as stores beforehand, I was like, I'll go in. I've got a stack of stuff waiting for me in my order. Usually they end up posting it out to me because I don't get out there. Declan lives really near the shop, but I don't. So I think, I'm dying to get in, just have those. It's the social aspect. It's like getting back to the pub and whatever, getting back to the cinema. I can't wait to just go in and do the stuff I used to do on a regular basis again.
I'm into that. What about you, Declan?
Similar, but a little different in that. I think we're definitely going through a boom. We're going to go through a boom of like people really appreciating things they've been missing out on. Weirdly, though, I know with the pandemic, like sales are up. I'd say it's a mix of people really wanting to support their comic book shops during hard times. I'm sure that was a lot of it. A lot of us people maybe just ordering things through the internet. So, you know, like a lot of reading books they've always meant to read. I know I did that. I haven't read any of them because I haven't had time, but like I got a lot of stuff over the pandemic. I don't think single issue is going to go away, but I think like what's happening with the industry is I think that it's like diversifying in terms of content and how you read them. Like I don't want to read, I have read comics digitally. I will sometimes, but I don't particularly enjoy it. I prefer reading things in trade, but like
it's so much different having that comic book in your hand. I had a bunch of digital comics. I know Frank and I have talked about this before on the show. A lot of my Injustice comics, because I was big into the Injustice series when it came out. I had it all digital, and I'm like, I went over and I finally had them in my hand. I'm like, oh, there's nothing. Having that, it's the smell of a brand new comic book. It's like, you know, brand new Corinthian leather in a car. It's amazing.
True,
I agree.
But like, if somebody wants to read it now and they can read it on a tablet, then they should be able to do that if there's enough of an audience for it. So I think that's what I mean. Is like you can take the one thing and you can do different versions of it for however you want to read it. I think things are going to go more that way as regards how people are reading things digitally or. You know, I know, like, because I'm doing a monthly book at the moment, and part of it is like, if it's going to be a monthly book, it's got to make sure that you're delivering story every month and not writing for the trade, and that like it's an experience. So I think maybe, you know, people are going to take more attention to how they're putting their stories out. And I would say there was definitely a bit of a wobble when the main comic distributors closed down during the pandemic, but since then, I mean. Work kind of dried up and then it's been a blossom again ever since. So there's a lot of different projects happening. I think people looking for other alternatives that are outside the mainstream and also Steve and I work essentially in like, you know, mainstream-esque comics, but you have people like Raina Tengelmeyer and Dog Boy and you have things for kids and you have things for adults. And I think what's interesting is 10 years ago, everything was superheroes. And I know culturally that's where people are now with like all the adaptations and stuff, but as regards to people reading comics, I think that there's more different types of creators and stories happening now than there has been in ages.
That's true. You know, the funny thing about it is you said having it on a platform for everybody to be available. That's a really good point because in the chat, Slash says, as a visually impaired comic reader, I am very thankful for the digital copies that I can zoom in on, but I still miss the comic book feel. So, thank you for being able to keep doing your trade and making it available everywhere. I mean, the digital age is very great for that because if this wasn't around, we had this pandemic many years ago. We don't know what would happen to the comic book industry when it comes to that.
There were people shifting and doing different things. There's things like Panel Syndicate, Marcus Martin's platform, where you can just pay whatever you want. Yeah, Kickstarter definitely had a massive. Both Stephen and I did a Kickstarter project. So people were finding alternatives to get stuff out there. So I mean, I think that's been a really interesting byproduct.
That kind of leads us into our next question. With all the adaptations, and especially the MCU and DCEU being so popular now, pretty much put a big boom on comics and brought a lot of people that weren't really interested in comics into the comic world and seeking out, shows like this and actual comic book artists. And now you are not just a name in a book; you actually get to physically be seen now. And I think it brought a lot of stuff to the forefront. Do you think that it's easier or harder to get into the comic book industry now with how popular the comic book world is? And that's as a worker, so to speak. Like, I
think there's two sides to that. It's a lot easier in that it's far more accessible. When we started out, we go far so back, like we were talking about conventions earlier on. I schlupped our portfolio around the States, San Diego, New York, all the big shows, and queued up for portfolio reviews. Now with the internet, it's been a massive equalizer. Like people in Ireland or people in South America or Spain or Italy, wherever, there's big congregations of comic book creators coming from all over the place because it's all sent online to FTP sites now, as opposed to when I started, they used to FedEx the artwork over. They'd literally send the physical boards and then they would be sent back a couple of months later and you'd hope you get them all back. Like now that only lasted a year or so when I broke in, but it's nuts the difference now. But on the flip side of that though, is there's so many more people trying to break in because everybody has the access to the internet. I mean, your grandma has it, whoever has it, the library has it. So everyone knows where there's a computer with the internet, and anyone who can draw well and has an interest in comics has an avenue to get in there. So I think the competition, theoretically, it's hard looking back because we're in it so long, but theoretically the competition should be greater now, I imagine. I don't know what Deck thinks.
No, yes, similar. yeah, the competition has never been higher, but like, it's not that. I mean, it depends what you mean breaking in. One, like again, what Stephen and I do is specific, but like, there's people who are breaking in ways like are doing digital comics that are doing insane compared to say what we sell or people are reading. But who are they all paying for it, or can you make a living? Some are huge. I mean, look, streamers like what you guys are doing, you can make money that way. That was not something that was possible 10 years ago. If you told me that, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Web comics is blown up so much now. I mean, they get their own shows on Netflix now.
Success is, I mean, breaking in is kind of a broader term, and again, in a good way, because you get different types of stuff. But I think in a lot of ways it is easier. I think, you can make a name for yourself. You can find an audience that can support you. So I think in some ways it is easier. And
I like that.
But it depends. Like, it's not easy to. You might break in, but like, it's staying in is a whole other.
Staying power is a whole different scenario. Yeah.
No matter how you do the work, you still need to actually do it. And I think there has been some people who do be very good of having an online brand, but not actually being able to go away from their Twitter handle and actually draw and write the stuff. So I think a lot of people have crashed and burned maybe in the last few years. But I think it's easier to get an audience, but whether that audience can sustain you.
Or you could
different thing. And if you want to break into a company, it's a different thing. But I don't know. I think there's been a huge equalizer with the internet in the last 10 years.
On that note, though, just what Declan is saying there, I think discipline is such a huge aspect that people might not realize going in. I mean, you get these amazing artists on their Twitter feed. It's just pin-up after pin-up or short story of incredible artwork. But then when they do get offered by Marvel or DC or whoever it is to do comic books, it's the timetable that maybe blows people's minds. It's the output you've got to have. It's the hours in the chair. Like, I mean, when I started out, I was
drawing Captain Marvel flying is great. But like drawing her sitting down, drinking a cup of coffee, then having to go to work, and like with the buses in the background and the plants and like all that stuff,
everything in the background. That was the hardest thing for me to get used to.
It's not glamorous. It's cool. It's a really cool job, but it's not as like anything. It's not as, I'm sure the Twitch gig is the same. It's not as glamorous as people might think. You're not on camera all the time. It's not all front end. There's so much back end to these jobs. But
he gets it. He's a born streamer.
No, thanks.
Very, very quickly before we get into the next question, it's kind of funny how you said that, because one of my friends got picked up from Instagram. He was just drawing characters left and right, and now he's doing Static Shock and stuff. And it's pretty cool how that happens. So I mean, very accessible through platforms. Even if you're not really pushing your portfolio out, you can have a portfolio review just by posting stuff. And he was posting comic pages and stuff. He wasn't just doing pinups, which was great.
That's good, because I think that's the problem sometimes is like there's a lot of people who are very good at like what beautiful Instagram posts, but like have no idea about storytelling. And we're like, there's a lot of people like, I get in trouble sometimes saying this, but like, it's just not good enough. It's not good enough.
That's the truth. They gotta know
the truth. They gotta know it. How do you not get better?
Yeah, there's younger creators who it seems like on the surface that they're ready, but when you actually have to do the 90% of drawing that isn't the fun stuff, they hit a wall and they're not able to handle it. And I think there's a big danger that a lot of younger creators they just hit a wall with a huge audience that we're, say, Stephen and I, would have done smaller books and gotten kind of the hang of it, and then you kind of build up like a resilience and a work ethic and a way to make it happen that it's just not possible to be able to do like that.
But that said, there's no right way to do it. There's so many avenues. I mean, the way we did it is not necessarily the way to do it. We did it 20 years ago, so it's definitely changed. So don't be disheartened by that kind of talk. If you've got the discipline and the skills and you're willing to put the time in, you can do it for sure.
So you guys have worked on a lot of different properties, obviously, as we talked about before. And two of the things that are booming right now are the MCU and arguably the DCU. It's a whole nother conversation. Do you think the universe that has been created for both, and thinking about other things too, like Invincible, The Boys, etc., do you think that they do the comic book universe's justice? What's being portrayed on TV and theaters, what you guys work on daily, do you think it's doing it justice? That's a tough one. I know it's probably not a short answer.
Well, I think it's where you go, Alan.
I'd say like, I mean, I watched the first episode of Loki, and I've seen the other shows, and like, you know, like WandaVision, that was weird. Like they really went to weird places with that, which when I was a kid, you know, like I was watching Incredible Hulk reruns, you know, which is the most pared down version of the character, which is great, very accessible.
Different name. It wasn't even Bruce Banner.
Yeah, true.
Oh, that's right.
David Banner.
David Banner. But, you know, all these things are the most basic ideas, the concepts, because that's all people could get involved now, or could get on board at the time. Now you've got all this really wacky. There's been different actors playing the same characters. How many Spider-Men have there been? Spider-Verse, like how they what they've done with adaptations, which I wouldn't have thought they would do, is really lean in. Avengers Endgame was a weird 1960s type Avengers story where they go back in time. Like if you told me that years ago, you'd be like, no one's going to watch that. They've really kind of leaned into what the weirdness of what a lot of those comics are in a way that mainstream audiences have totally gone in on, which I'm very surprised. But as a viewer, it's great to see. Like, and I think whatever, like, The Boys was like Invincible, having Corey Walker and
well, that's the thing. If Kirkman is on Invincible's going to be a faithful adaptation. It depends on the. And just on the Endgame thing, like I think it's because it's cool to be a nerd now or whatever, but it's a lot more acceptable to be into this. Into this genre stuff. So they're going to lean, once they see there's money on the table, they're going to lean right into that, and you're going to get Doctor Strange, Magic Time stories. Like Doctor Strange 2 is going to bend everything all over the place with Wanda. And I mean, they know there's an audience there. Once they saw there's an audience there, they just didn't think people wanted that kind of in-depth storytelling, I guess, when we were kids. It was just it was an hour a week, wrap it up, done. There's no overarching story. Whereas now it's all about story. It's all about character. And they're getting real actors to play these
TV wasn't
parts.
in a place where it could do that at the time, but now the gloves are off. You know, it's pretty nuts.
Well, you would argue comic books are the primary IP generator in the entertainment universe right now. I mean, what's bigger than comic book stories as far as movies go, as far as video games go?
Yeah, I mean, look at Guardians of the Galaxy, Miles Morales, Spider-Man specifically talking about video games,
movies,
and then
bringing millions and billions of dollars.
I mean, outside of Avatar recently, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in chat too. I think that the highest-grossing movies recently have been comic books. Yes, Star Wars aside, actually, because Star Wars is Star Wars. It's all it's all Marvel. I get it. I'm a Superman fan. I'm in pain. I get it.
Hey, I would.
Well, hold on. Let's have a conversation there. You could argue Marvel are adhering very closely to the storyline set out in the comic books and the tone and themes set out in the comic books. Where DC, and I'm a big DC guy, whereas DC have maybe been bringing more auteur directors in with their own visions of what the characters could be, as opposed to what they're perceived as what they are. So there's an argument there to say, by sticking to the source material and adhering as closely as possible, even if it is a little goofy.
Thank you.
Like they say Superman is too boring. Well, Cap is the same basic character, and he's as Boy Scout as they come. I mean, they're my favorite movies.
He doesn't have
language, really. Language.
Winter Soldier is the best movie Marvel ever made,
dude,
in my opinion.
I've had that conversation before. As much as I'm a big Superman fan, and I could talk about Zod and the Donner cuts and everything, Winter Soldier is arguably my favorite, not just superhero movie, but it's definitely in my top 5 movies, period, if not top 3. It is such a
it's a spy movie. It's an espionage movie. So
which
a guy with a shield running around in the middle of it, like, it's great.
Which we do have. Time is running short here. I'm sure we could talk for hours here.
We got 2 more minutes.
Let's keep going.
But I have a quick yes or no question for you guys based on what we were just talking about. You guys have been in the industry so long. We're talking about movies, TV, video games, and yes or no, because I don't know what you guys can say or can't say about it. Has your work directly impacted, or have we seen your work directly shown in ways on TV? That you could talk about on TVs, movies, or video games.
Well, I would say it's probably no for both of us, because all the stuff that's happening now is coming from stories from maybe 10 years ago, and like that's when we both came up.
Moon Knight's about to come out.
Just about to say, you guys have both done a lot of work on Moon Knight, and I am very excited for that one.
Baby.
Yeah,
he doesn't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
He doesn't know.
I got a take.
We are this rung of the ladder. The ladder is up to here. We are here.
Yeah. A friend of mine DM'd me, so like, oh, this is cool about Moon Knight. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I saw they released like the logo. Like that's the first I heard of it. I have no idea. So I haven't a clue what's going on. But I don't know. Moon Knight's had so many different iterations. I have absolutely no idea if they're going to use ours.
They do. Sorry, just on that question. Today, somebody tweeted me. There's this new Snake Eyes movie, a GI Joe movie coming out, and, some of my art is just for the promo for the movie. And I mean, it's out. Nobody. I mean, that doesn't go anywhere near us. That's just the marketing department, pulling cool shots from their archives. And we might see it on a T-shirt in 2 years and go, nobody sent me that T-shirt. But it's great though.
So buy your own T-shirt.
It's cool. It is. It's really, really cool. But when you get to be this old and cynical, you're like, yeah, I'd like to see a little bit of that pie as well. You know what I mean? But listen, it's the deal you signed up for. As a kid, the job that we're doing now, if you had told 12-year-old me the job I'm doing now, you'd blow my mind. Absolutely blow my mind.
Absolutely. It's everybody's dream right now too. And I mean, the like young kids can like fresh out of the womb are coming out with Spider-Man outfits on and stuff, and it's just beautiful to see. And I love it because, you know, as you said, nerd culture right now is just so accepted. But it's speaking on that of nerd culture, we're going to get into some pretty nerdy stuff right now because we have something very exciting for you, audience. And that's because Mr. Mooney and Declan are not here only just to wow you with their good looks and their amazing stuff about comics. They are actually going to release something. A first scene we got here on GCX Comics, first scene, issue number 4 of Carnage. So let's go ahead and flip over and show that. And Declan, Stephen, the floor is your ballroom. We're going to show you guys the inks, and then we're going to show you the dress copy, and then we're going to go into the detail shot. But look at this, talking about comics that are going to be affecting movies. I mean, Carnage got announced not too long ago. Granted, it's a Sony joint, but about that. But if you want the cooler version of Carnage, it's right here. So you should do it. So, oh my gosh, look at the inks. I'm an artist myself. Worked in the comics for a little while back in the day, and let me tell you, man, I love the dynamic Carnage stuff. I love the really dark world they put Venom in recently, with the recent comics, going back to the origin story and everything, because you know that story got flipped upside down. We just thought he came from a space cookie, but no, there's a lot more to that. Now we have Carnage, and if you want to tell us about Declan and Stephen, you want to tell us about this book?
Well, I'd say I know that the symbiote fans of Marvel are hardcore because I used to work on Venom a few years ago before it was ever a film, and like I still have hardcore like symbiote fans get onto me, but this was for a series called Carnage, Red, White, and Blood, which is effectively all these short stories where you can just kind of do any Carnage story at all. And because Carnage is like Cletus Cassidy, who's a serial killer, I thought this is a cool opportunity to do like a dark serial killer with a symbiote twist. And first time I ever saw Stephen's work was for a kind of a detective series. It was just an Irish comic, and so it's kind of cool to see him do these kind of street level stuff again. But Stephen drew it, so he should talk about it.
I am the schmuck who did the art on this story. Declan wrote the story. Woohoo! So we were talking earlier on about the writing and drawing, and we didn't do a huge amount of. We did a little bit of back and forth on it, didn't we? You said it.
It's a short story. There's only so much you can get into, you know. But yeah, we had a bit of back and I had an idea, and we kind of bounced things back a little bit.
And side note, just to let everyone know, if you want to pick this up, it isn't available yet. This is why this is the, speaking of E3 and Summer Game Fest, world premiere. This is the variant cover you're seeing for it to issue 4 that will be available to all of you on July 14th. So a hair under a month from now, you'll be able to pick up this issue. Just remember, it's Carnage, Black, White, and Blood, and it's going to be issue 4 coming out, available to all of you, July 14th, 1-4. Gentlemen?
Yeah. Well, you're looking at the inks now. Okay, so both Declan and I still draw what they call traditionally on paper with pens and pencils and everything like that, whereas it's, I guess, in vogue now to be digital. Although I don't know what the split, it's, I guess, 50-50 these days. I don't know what Declan thinks. Yeah. There's still a fair few people doing it the old-fashioned way. So that's the inks there. That's just done with some brush pens and a little bit of dry brush stuff. Declan would do a lot of ink washes on his stuff, so I did a little bit of that on this cover, just because it's kind of echoing Declan in a way, just as a gag for us more than anything else.
To honor me, I think.
Just to show him it wasn't very hard to do.
Okay.
And then the color version, I do the colors on this myself. A lot of times when you're doing covers for Marvel or wherever, your schedule won't allow you to do the colors yourself. Whereas Declan actually is predominantly coloring his own stuff these days. It takes me so long to color. I'm so slow, and it would take me as long to color a picture as it was to draw it, which is crazy in this industry. You've got to be able to get it bang, bang, bang out the door.
So yeah, the story though is because it's limited. It's black and white with red elements.
Yeah.
Like, cool thing is seeing like Stephen choose what's going to be like. Those decisions are more stylized, which is always really cool to see.
Yeah, everybody
that.
loves red, right? Black,
Yeah,
white, and red.
yeah.
They're the coolest.
Red
I
and
mean,
red,
what
there
other
you go.
colors do you need? Like,
One of my favorite
so
colors.
I think it's built into everyone, our psyches. I don't know, as comic book fans or whatever it is. So it's great fun to do, and it's short, so you're in the door and you're out. Like cards on the table. I'm not the biggest Carnage guy. I'm a fan of Venom. I like Venom. I like the whole mythos, and Donny Cates, like you said, and Stegman doing great things on the Venom book. But this was just a nice little nugget of like a Spidey villain who, we all know Carnage from back in the day, even back when Mark Bagley brought him in, whatever. Which was that Amazing Spider-Man? I don't know, 90s.
Yeah, it's
so it's fun. Yeah, you get to a few cool shots. There's a nice splash page in there, some storytelling, a double page splash, and then you're out the door. So it's the perfect kind of little nugget of a gig. And plus, we didn't have to stomach each other for more than 10 pages.
I do love. Let's get into a detailed shot of this while Declan goes into some details about it. But I want to say, Maximum Carnage was one of my favorite games / series back then. It was very true to Carnage and stayed very raw. I mean, being in the '90s back then, you would think we would get a kind of a washed down version of Carnage, but they kept it real. And then they kind of like softened him up over the time. You kind of forgot about him. It was all about Venom and anti-Venom and all that stuff. Agent Venom, you name it. But look at this detail.
Me. I was Agent Venom. That's what I was.
Oh my God.
That's his boy here.
Yeah. This. I'm like a kid in the candy store right now. Right now, we're looking at the detail shot. Thank goodness we blew this up because my God, the detail in this thing is mind blowing.
It doesn't do it justice why we had it before. This thing is absolutely beautiful.
Moly.
I want it on my wall.
Well, this is why it takes so long.
This is why it takes so long. So actually, you know what? From start to finish, how long did something like this take you to get done? And outside of approvals and whatnot, I guess just start to finish, how long do you think it took you to get done?
Well, this one, as far as covers go at Marvel, generally you will have to provide various ideas, what they call thumbnails, 3 or 4 sample images so that the editor can get a decision on what they like from your ideas. And then you would take that one to fruition to a full-fledged drawing. But this one, the timeline was a bit short. So Marvel actually just said an iconic shot of Carnage, just whatever you think looks cool, go for it, and then send us the ink. So I roughed it out and drew it all in the same day, I think.
Wow. That's too much for me. Too much talent.
long day though.
Long day.
Yeah, a long day. But that would be considered between us. That would be considered a handy cover because it's one shot of one character. Now there's a lot of work on that character, but there's no really background to speak of. I mean, he's sitting on a little Venom gargoyle there with a bit of smoke and stuff in the background.
I like how you incorporated that in there.
Yeah, it's just fun, It's just like I'm more of a Venom guy, so the little Venom gargoyle was kind of my little nod to Venom. Yeah, a day, and then the colors, I guess, half a day. Once they approve the inks, the colors are done. But that's a quick example, I think. Declan, are you a day for a cover? What do you normally?
I would say maybe 2 days between coloring and like.
Oh, with coloring, sure, yeah.
Yeah, but like if I'd spend like a few hours roughing out ideas. And then like coloring that rough and figuring out what I would do in the color. So, and then like penciling and inking is probably a day. Yeah. So I think maybe 2 days overall, like from beginning to finish. If that's how I was working.
Yeah, I'd normally with colors I'd be 2 days as well, which I think is probably industry standard. You have to be at least that fast, I'd say, to go.
So actually,
you need to be turning stuff around. Not super. Like it depends on when deadlines are, but like, you can't be spending weeks and weeks and weeks on one piece.
So then, obviously, that was the art side of it. Then for Declan, for you, from start to finish, I know obviously you weren't the only writer on this, right?
I was only so it's 3 short stories in the issue. 3 short stories
in the issue. So how long did it create you to create that short story?
It took a while, but only because like back and forth with editors. So I think like it was Christmas. I wrote the pitch. I was supposed to be drawing it at the time, so I was writing it for myself. But then when I realized I couldn't because of deadlines, I made it harder to draw for Steven.
Old sloppy seconds here. Come in the door.
I got a great job for you. Something.
Originally, whenever I'm trying to think of writing something, it's like what would be cool to draw, So I was thinking of myself originally, which I normally do, and but I mean sometimes you're sitting waiting on approvals, and then you'll get notes back and you'll tweak on it. It wasn't the hardest story in the world because I had a very very clear idea of what I was going for, but like as also knowing Steven's work, I definitely tweaked it to kind of make it like what's going to make him do something that's like he's going to enjoy more, which I think always makes the pages look better.
Yeah.
Hey, dynamic duel indeed, and I have to say I love it. I'm gonna definitely pick it up. I'm gonna try to find a local shop around because I really want to get the physical, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, same thing.
But chat, we are at the point in time now where we are taking questions, so feel free. You got about roughly around like 5-10 minutes to go about these questions. So jump in, throw those questions up so we can ask them, and then while we wait, we'll be asking ours.
We got one right away. Yeah.
Dirty Gunner Gaming says hardest comic book
Benjamin.
each of them have worked on. Ooh, good question. I saw the eyebrows pop. That's dope.
Well, hardest in what respect? Like,
well, yeah, because you're both artists and writers. I guess lightning round, one of both.
Yeah, deadlines or art.
I would say Moon Knight. The run I did with Warren was 6 different issues of 6 different stories, and they were all wildly different. One was like a kind of a raid type story, so that was really challenging. And the one before that was this crazy one with like mind virus and mushroom gods, and it's not like drawing like a story of part 1, 2, 3, and 4. It was just wildly different each issue. So that was, I just remember it was a very inventive book, and that's why it's one of my favorites. But it was so hard to draw. It was just giving 110% every single day for 7 months. It was tough, but worth it.
Oh
yeah. On that same note, actually, like Declan saying, when you're doing a one-off issue every time, you got to set the world up and you got to develop it, and then you got to do that again the next month. Whereas Half Past Danger or whatever, I've got 18 issues now. It's all set in the same world. So you've done a lot of that setup in the first few issues, and then you can not relax, but you can put more into the action or the character work. So when I did the first issue of my first issue of Grayson was called Grayson Future's End with Tom King. It was like when DC did this Future's End crossover, and again, it was all one and done. So it was a lot of setup involved. But not only that, that was like my audition for DC. They had seen Half Past Danger, and Scott Snyder had asked me would I be interested in doing something for DC. And Mark Doyle was the editor at the time of the Bat Office, and he, because Scott had brought me in, he wanted to see several, he wanted to see full layouts for the issue, then pencils, then inks, which normally I would do very rough pencils from my layouts and go straight to inks, just to cut out the middleman there, because that's a lot of extra work to do full pencils. It's nearly another job entirely. So I remember it did take me an awful lot longer just to do that because I didn't want to screw it up. And Grayson was a huge deal for me, and DC was a huge deal for me. So I really, really put the hours in. And that's back before I had a kid. So I was able to do that. Oh. Like Declan said, you're talking not all night, but some seriously long nights. Well, I mean, it's worth it. I mean, I always find it so interesting. Sorry to keep going on, but I find it so interesting now that this massive conversation online about what's acceptable and what's not. When you're talking about crunch with video games, you're talking about a movie set style, whatever you're talking about. Some people maybe of a younger generation, like we're so old, but they're of the opinion that it is not acceptable to go over your 8 hours, to go past your union guidelines, whatever it is. That's the cutoff point. And then I remember these long nights we did back then, and I don't feel like it wasn't worth it at the time. I feel like what I did then was paying my dues, and it got me to where I am now. So I think there's a real conversation there as to what is required and what's not required, and from the outside looking in. But then that's a whole different conversation. Sorry to derail that.
No, that's a very good point. That goes with everything. It even goes with streaming. And what we do here is if you don't, I mean, turning on the camera and being on camera, that's the fun part. It's the after hours that really pushes you to the next level and who puts the work in. And everything takes a little bit of elbow grease, as we like to call it, to get where you want to get. We got one more question. You want to go for it, Matt? Or we got another question?
We got like 2-3 minutes left here. So let's see if we can make this lightning. What comic was their all-time favorite to work on?
Yeah, lightning.
Yeah, lightning. All-time favorite.
For me, Half Past Danger, the first issue.
It's yours, Declan?
Probably Moon Knight issue 1.
Moon Knight issue 1.
Awesome.
And I think
Declan loves a challenge.
Yeah.
No, issue 5. Issue 5 was the one. It was the one I.
No, issue 3.
No. 7.
It's all coming back.
And then, really quick here, how long does it truly take to get a book from storyboard to shelves?
Oof.
Rough estimate, because we actually are running down on time here. Smile.
The quickest you could do it would be, I would say, 3 or 4 months. That's in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah, like a week to outline, week to write, 6 weeks to draw.
Gotta go to the printers then, and then
actually get it out of publication, ship it the whole night. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you're not even taking in Disney into account in that scenario.
They could just be like
Warner Brothers. Yeah, let's do it again.
I've just written something that I'm about to draw, and that'll be out in October.
There you go. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much for coming. Real quick, everybody, if you want to follow all of us on the Comics, unfortunately, we run out of time and space is limited space, so to speak, and we have to move on over. All of our Twitter links are right there. Stephen Mooney and Declan, thank you so very, very, very much for coming and joining us here on GCX and giving us a premiere of issue 4 of Carnage and giving us a little bit of in your world. And chat, we are unfortunately done here, but GCX is not done. There's so much more GCX to go. Please hang by and stay tuned as we keep going throughout the day. Have a big show coming up, and up next will be Star Wars and Scotch with Kevin and Tim. So after a short little break, don't go anywhere, guys. And Stephen and Declan, thank you so much again.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't forget their Carnage, Black, White, and Blood will be available issue 4 with the variant cover artwork on July 15th. For those of you trying to keep track at home, it looks like a short while ago, the GCX campaign broke over $3.5 million raised for St. Jude. So everybody gets a round of applause and huge thank you for that. Declan, myself, Frank, and Steven, looking over my squares. I'm like, oh, where am I? We got a couple of seconds left here. You can check us out on Twitter. That's all of our information up here. And of course, as Frank said, Kevin and Timmy are going live with Star Wars and Scotch with some special guests. Make sure to tell Tim happy birthday. He wants to play more Fortnite, so do that for us. I know how much he loves it. We'll be back next
Saturday.
Yes.
Do your homework, Loki. We'll talk more about it then.
Yes, not this Saturday, next Saturday, chat. We love you. Good job, GCX. Congratulations. Still got a couple
and
seconds.
Welcome back again.
again. You're gonna see lots of us. Welcome back.
Yeah. Yep, it's us. It's Seum and Rukari again. I know. Are you sick of us yet? Well, I hope not, because we're gonna be here for the next 2 days as well. So
way to let them down easy. Well, I mean, I guess thank you to our panel guests, by the way, for running that comic session. It was a great time. I'm gonna fully admit something. I couldn't listen to it because I was afraid of hearing something for all the things that I need to finish. And so I had it up on my screen that's right here, and I was like, oh, yep, I'm just gonna nod and pretend like I'm interacting. I have look
pretty.
Yeah, I have one more episode of The Boys. That was like I'm watching this on planes bit. I haven't touched Invincible. I have to watch like Loki if we're talking Marvel's universe. I watched Loki.
Oh my gosh, that just started too.
Yeah, and episode 2 came out yesterday, and I have to watch with my girlfriend, so I always have to delay a couple of days. So yeah.
Your girlfriend sounds like me. I'm the one that's delayed.
Oh, well, she travels a lot for work too. She sells pharmaceuticals, so she goes and visits other hospitals and whatnot.
Oh.
And then I always just get that. So you're waiting on me to watch this, right? And I'm like,
you could always do the old. Oh yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
You know what? She knows I know. She could tell by the reactions. Either way.
You can't hide it. There's no hiding that at all.
I can't hide it at all. Not at all. What's going on, chat? How we doing?
Yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope a lot of you enjoyed the comics. That was honestly, I am envious of people who have that kind of knowledge about a specific topic and are just so good at it. I'm just like, holy heck.
Right. Especially with how far and wide the comics realm goes. When you get into extended universes, when you get into like the fan lore that's out there, it's daunting. Not gonna lie, it's daunting.
Yeah. I guess I can't really speak much. I do know quite a lot about Harry Potter.
I was gonna say I watched your stories and whatnot, and I'm like, I was like, is she still in Harry Potter world? Like, we're not in Florida anymore.
Right now? Stop.
No, I'm not judging. I'm understanding more about you.
Goes to the next, just to go to the castle again.
I do not blame you. Actually, it was on TV when we were down in Florida shooting our bits, and I was telling people back home, I was like, this is the movie or the set of movies that I will always watch if it's on. I don't care which one it is. If Harry Potter's on TV, commercials and all, I'm turning it on.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely watching. So I'm not judging you. I promise.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're enthused for my enthusiasm.
There it is. Enthused for the enthusiasm. Watch this. You ready for this transition? I hope you guys are enthused for our next segment, but you got to hold that enthusiasm for a bit because we got a few ads that we want to show you, and Sam and I will be back to toss into our next panel. All right. See you in about 5 minutes. Oh, are we coming? Okay. All right, well, welcome back to the GCX main event. Rukari and Sam here having fun, trying to figure out if we're getting out of our ads or not, because we've got more panels, we've got more stuff for you all. Though we aren't the ones doing it, so it's fun doing this virtually because on stage they get to do this, right? They say you're up now. Here we're just like, oh, we'll see if we're going. We'll see if we're going.
Time? Hello? Oh, okay. Here we are.
No, you guys were on 10 seconds ago. Well, we hope you guys are enjoying this bit. It has been a fun stream. I'm excited for the next segment, Star Wars and Scotch. That's what we're talking about.
What you know about Scotch?
You know what's bad is I know nothing about either of these things.
You know what's bad? I don't either.
I'm a clear adult beverage person. I'm just going to throw that one out there. And no, again, Star Wars, jack of all trades, master of none. So it's one of those things where I've jumped into a ton of the universe and there's a ton of things that I understand, but I could not give you the subtle nuances that connect, let's say, episode 1 to 6 or, the callbacks I do tough with.
What's funny is I've seen all of them. Well, no, I haven't seen like the last 2, but I remember very little. It's unfortunately not something that's ever really resonated with me, but it resonates with a lot of people and I can appreciate that. It's like, taking it back.
Can I put you on the spot and say, what's your favorite Star Wars moment? Don't you dare try to run back to Harry Potter.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's a world that I know a lot in, and Star Wars, unfortunately, is not. Even though they're both really big franchises with big followings.
They're huge. They are absolutely huge.
Favorite Star Wars moment?
Yeah, you got to pick one. Do you have one?
I don't know if I do. Well, I don't remember which movie it is. I like how you say there's like the first 3 or the second 3, but it's one of
the original trilogy.
And I don't remember much of it. I think it's whatever. Wait, is it a spoiler? Remember Darth Vader dies? But
is it a spoiler if it's been this long?
It's been a long time. I remember that part though, and I don't know. It was a good moment.
For me,
much else.
And again, this is going to make me sound old. What I loved, my favorite bit was when the first prequel was about to come out. So this is like, what, 1997, 98? And I just loved watching the marketing kick up. And my brother's 12 years older than me, so he's in his late 40s. And he got to see all the original Star Wars in theaters. I can't remember how well he remembered it, but he grew up with it. So to watch his eyes light up in the late 90s as they're starting these, marketing runs for a new movie and watching the Pepsi and Pizza Hut takeovers, and that had this Queen Amidala that was out there, and I'm like, who are all these people? And I don't know, it was fun to watch the household light up and to try to show me why I should care about a particular set of movies, though I had no idea, other than syndication, what they were. Like the only reason why I watched Star Wars is because we had the VHS, but I watched them on TV. So it was a good family moment for my big brother and I.
Too. My friend had a Barbie version of Queen Amidala, and I always thought that was so cool, even though I really didn't understand. I was like, yeah, no, that's a dope looking Barbie right there.
I'm waiting for somebody in chat to say, what do you mean at their time? Star Wars is still relevant, which it is.
Honestly, it is. Because there's like, The Mandalorian? That's still going on.
Well, there's The Mandalorian. I mean, obviously, they just finished up the latest trilogy. I'm excited to see what's next. We've got standalone movies like Solo, which I get that some people didn't like. I enjoyed it. I'm a simple person to please. Rogue Squadron. Rogue One. Yeah, Rogue One. Rogue One was amazing. Rogue Squadron was the game. Rogue One was phenomenal.
I thought it was super good.
Love the story in it.
Bringing things back to life. I'm sure our chat. Everybody listening is like, wow.
I'm looking at it right now, and they're like, these guys are. Look, this is not what you get in the panel. I know darkness. Tim is probably sitting back there like this, upset. He's like, I'm supposed to be doing this panel. Rukari's messing up all the names of the movies and the games. I'm doing this because Tim's big. I'm trying to make myself bigger.
Oh yeah.
This is how he looks in t-shirts. There's no wrinkle in Tim's t-shirt. So when you guys see that, make sure to look at it. He's filled out. All right, all that muscle right there. You don't argue with him about Star Wars. No wrinkles.
No wrinkles at all. They don't exist in Tim's world, okay? But you know what does exist in Tim's world? A whole ton of Star Wars knowledge that we cannot give you.
Yeah.
Wait, and Scotch. Scotch. Like, enjoy the Scotch.
Exactly it. I'm just curious to see how the Scotch fits into this. Whatever. It's not my world. I'm just living in it. That's it.
It's Tim's world right now, so that's fine with me. What a wait. Next time they need to do Star Wars in the gym. Anyway, if you know, you know. Well, whether or not you know who Luke's father is, you'll be in good hands with Tim, who's also known as Darkness 429, and special guest Star Wars Explained, Molly Damon, and Sawyerism. So whether you enjoy the current canon or the Legends universe, there will be something for you to dive into with all things Star Wars.
My Tim post.
Also known as Darkness 429. And I am one part of Star Wars and Scotch. Usually Kevin is here with me, and but he's off doing important rare drop CEO stuff. But I am joined by some amazing people. You guys have seen them on the show before. Just to start, I'm gonna go right and then down, and then we'll go right again. So we got Sawyerism. We had her on the show last week. She's back. Sawyerism, would you like to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and a favorite Star Wars moment?
Ooh, okay. Well, hi, I'm Sawyer, or Sawyerism. I am a lore-based creator on TikTok is my main platform. I also have Instagram and Twitter. Hopefully YouTube soon. But yeah, I'm mostly on TikTok. I do a lot of lore stuff, a lot of weird species facts, and Star Wars Legends stuff. And what do you say? My favorite Star Wars moment? Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
favorite Star Wars moment.
You know, right now... Dang, that's a tough one. I would have to say, my mind immediately goes to Rey's random use of Force lightning out of nowhere.
I would have to agree. That's a really good moment. I like that a lot. And then beneath me, we have Molly Damon. How are you? Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Of course.
I'm Molly, and I am the other half of this guy. And yeah, we run the YouTube channel Star Wars Explained. And one of my favorite moments of Star Wars is the Ben Solo shrug.
Mm.
That's a good one.
And then last but definitely not least, we have Star Wars Explained. Alex, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, we're a lore-based YouTube channel as well, and we primarily focus on keeping up with the new stuff that's coming out. So, you know, a lot of focus on the Bad Batch and the High Republic right now. But my favorite Star Wars moment is probably the one that made me fall in love with it, just like as a diehard fan the first time I saw it. It's the Trench Run, the Battle of Yavin. I love everything about it.
So, lots going on in the Star Wars universe right now, especially in the cinematic world. A lot of TV shows have come out, animated, live action. A lot are in production. So we're definitely going to be talking a lot about that. Mandalorian Season 3. We're going to talk about Book of Boba Fett and much, much more. But before we start talking about all things Star Wars, I would like to remind you guys to head on over to GCXevent.com. Head on over to GCXevent.com. Make sure that you hit the donate tab. And while the show is going on, we still have a bunch of amazing streamers that are streaming their hearts out. For every 4 hours, we have a new streamer coming on and raising money for St. Jude. And that's going to be going on until Sunday afternoon when we end it with Dr. Lupo. So plenty of time to raise more money for the kiddos. We are past $3 million, which is absolutely insane. So big thank you to everyone that has donated so far. All right, guys, let's talk about Mandalorian Season 3. We ended Season 2 in a really interesting spot. We have a new owner to the Darksaber, someone that we didn't think was actually going to be the one to wield it. We had a very interesting cameo. Spoiler alert, Luke Skywalker shows up again and takes our sweet friend Grogu off somewhere to train. And but there's a lot of questions. We end that season with a lot of questions, and I'd like to hear from you guys. Where do you think we'll end up in Season 3? Do you think that this will be more focused on the what happened to Mandalore? You know, where are we gonna see with the Mandalorian people? What did the Empire do? Or is this gonna go more so in the direction of Luke and Grogu? Where do you guys think it's gonna end up?
I was going to let Molly talk before me because I know she has so many feelings about the kidnapping of Grogu, as she calls it.
Yeah, absolutely. Luke came and stole that baby from Din. I'll never forgive him. But no, I do worry constantly, like, when are we going to see Grogu again? Because that's my number one priority at all times. But I'm excited to see, Din's journey continue. And I do suspect that we might end up going to Mandalore in this season, which would be really exciting to see. I love Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan, so I hope she's in it a good bit. It's going to be an interesting dynamic with the Darksaber. She's going to have to figure out, like, are they going to fight to the death for it, or are they going to just, I don't know, play?
Here's my issue with that, though, is that she was totally fine with it being handed to her twice.
Yeah.
See, I don't see that as any kind of plot hole or anything. I see that as something terrible happened to change her mind, and we don't know what it was. There's a reason she's not taking it. Like, Dave Filoni is heavily involved in the show. He knows what she did in the past because he was there. He oversaw it. So something's up. There's something that now Bo-Katan is like, I can't just take it, and it was a mistake for me to do that the last time. So yeah, I'm really into what they're doing with Bo-Katan because she's been very like, we need to unify Mandalore so we can take it back, and I'm going to be the leader. But it's like, okay, how much do you believe in that now that you don't get to be the leader? Are you able to fall in line behind someone that you might not totally agree with, that you say was raised in a cult? Or is she going to, fight him for it?
I just can't see them fighting. Like, yeah, I guess at the end of the season, she's like, oh, we gotta fight for it. But I don't know. I can't. Din will do it. I don't know. I can't see that battle being like the epic climax of season 3 that it could be, because we in my opinion that would be a bizarre way to start the season, but who knows. But I think for certain, I would venture to guess that we absolutely are going to Mandalore. And I think that now that Grogu has been kidnapped, it's time for Din to figure out who he is and whether or not he ends up fighting Bo-Katan. I don't think he wants to rule Mandalore, but I think I think we are going to see a lot of her, and I think he really needs to address, was he raised in a cult? What is it to be a Mandalorian? So I think that will definitely be the central focus. But yeah, I don't know, like a fight to the death between those two, it just doesn't feel right. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it can't just be me who.
No, and I think y'all make a great point, is that I think in season 3 they need to bring the focus back to Din and like what it is to be Mandalore, and the actual, like, what we all assumed that this show is going to be. I felt like in season 2 we saw almost a smorgasbord of all of like Dave Filoni's characters that he created throughout his entirety of his career at Lucas, and now like they're all like, and it was them sprinkling in all the new shows that are getting. And so like for me, I felt like we kind of lost what the show was about when we went kind of like halfway through season 2. It was cool, it was neat to see Ahsoka, and it was really neat to hear Thrawn and like all of this stuff, but I felt like we lost a lot of the Mandalore story that I was hoping for, that we started to get in season 1.
I agree and disagree. Like, I think season 2, I enjoyed it more than season 1. But yeah, it's following the same model that a lot of the animated shows do, where it starts really personal and it's going to open up more and more and more. But I still think it did a really good job of balancing the new stuff with exploring Din's personal journey. And I think that not losing Grogu, but Grogu not being around, like, that was the driving force of him becoming a better person. And I like this idea that, are you going to be able to continue to go down a better path without that driving force? And also just the idea of rejecting like this sacred weapon is such a fantasy trope that I like. I think that watching this journey of like this guy who was out for himself, not really even teamed up with his own covert, at the start of the series why does this keep going off? He becomes Mandalore at the end and leads his people. I think that's a really cool arc for him.
Most definitely. And Molly, since you feel so adamant about Luke stealing this poor little baby Yoda, what do you think's going to happen? Like, he was such a driving force for the Mandalorian show. Like, I really feel like the little guy carried that show on his back for a lot of it, just because people found him to be so interesting. Like, it was like, man, this is the first time we see someone other than Yoda, like, here, and like we want to know more about him. Like, do you feel like season 3 we're gonna lose that that level of mystery?
I think so, a little bit. Like I said before, like, I think we're gonna focus more on Din, more on just his solo personal journey, but it's gonna be interesting without him, because a lot of the show is just about their relationship together and like the two of them kind of learning from each other and teaching each other lessons. So
he also appeals to the casual fan base, I think, too. Like my kid has Grogu jammies.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and he asks to be put in his Grogu jammies. He doesn't care about Din Djarin or like any of that, but he loves the cute little green guy, right?
Mhm.
So like that's what I'm worried about too. Is like, is the casual Star Wars fan base that was starting to be created because of this little guy, like, are they going to stay intrigued? What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I don't think we've seen the last of Grogu. I think Molly, I think you're good. I think he will come back.
Every night we have that discussion. I'm like, it's fine. He's gonna come back. It's okay.
Close your eyes. Shh, Molly's fine. Shh.
Grogu will always
Yeah.
be right here.
Well, I keep seeing people talk about this online and bring up like, well, when he does come back, is he gonna be in a little Jedi robe, and is he gonna
Oh my
be
God.
talking? Is he gonna have a little lightsaber? Like, there's so many possibilities.
Indeed.
I say no to all of that. Like, I think Luke is gonna just.
Wow, just killing the cute, Alex. Come
I'm
on,
sorry.
dude.
No, I mean he's still gonna be cute, but I think Luke is just gonna train him to get a handle on his emotions, and like this idea that you don't have to force choke every problem you run into, because he
Why
is a
not?
baby. Like,
okay.
he just needs to be toned down a little bit, and once that is under control, I don't think Luke is going to train him to be a Jedi. I think even though he is a baby, like at the age of 50 years old, he'd probably be like, he's too old. And so I think it's just more like, I'm going to help you with the Force because you need it.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you back. That's what
You
I
think-
see happening.
Yeah, and it ends up being like more like a neutral Force user, if anything else.
Yeah, kind of like Ahsoka, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I would
So-
totally agree with that for sure.
So speaking of Mandalorians and books, we've got the Book of Boba Fett. I didn't know how else to transition into this one, so just books and Boba Fett. Immediately when I hear this title, I think of the Book of Eli, and I just like, that's the movie that comes to mind, and I think of this like post-apocalyptic world with people on motorcycles, and like that's what I think of. Where like I personally feel like this is going to be like the mob boss movie or show that we've always wanted, like the gangsters, like, you know, like the 1920 style, or even like the cowboys, like that Wild Wild West style. Where do you guys think we're going to go with this? And do you think we've already seen rumors that there's going to be multiple seasons? We saw that there was leaks of photos and like on scene set pictures of people's jackets saying that there is just a season 1. So they assume there's going to be a second season. Like, do you think that Boba Fett has enough weight to him now to be able to continue building on a new story for this character and have a multi-season show?
I mean, do you mean wait to him like his new dad bod, or?
Oh. Okay, it was really hard in the Sarlacc pit, and he got hungry. He had nothing else to do but eat. So
I like the idea that he was in the Sarlacc pit just working out. Like, you know, you get those montages of people like in prison, and they're gonna like, I'm gonna get out and get revenge, and they're just working out the whole time. That's what
benching
he
like
did at the bottom of the
tentacles
Sarlacc. I absolutely think Boba Fett has enough pull and attention from even a casual audience to have multiple seasons. I have no idea what they're gonna do with this, because it felt like The Mandalorian, he kind of was turning over a new leaf, and was maybe a little more noble than we've seen him be in, especially the comics where they just have him like mowing people down. But now he's like helping Fennec Shand, he's helping Din, and then at the end he just like shoots Bib Fortuna and takes that throne, and you're like, yeah, what's his deal now? So I'm intrigued by it.
You mentioned Fennec Shand. I'm really excited to see their relationship and to learn. I mean, maybe we'll learn this in Bad Batch, just what their history is, like when their relationship started, how they know each other, how they're gonna be moving forward. Is she kind of like his right-hand man now? Like, that's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with the introduction of her into Bad Batch, I would assume we'll see a Boba Fett, since he was so involved in Clone Wars. It'd be silly for him not to show up. He's a couple years older now, so I would assume he's kind of a little bit more grown, and he's a little more advanced in the arts of stealing and thievery. So it'd be silly for him not to show up. But I wonder, and to your point, I wonder if they do interact at some point before they meet again on Tatooine, because that's when that life debt, I would assume, starts, is when he saves her when she gets shot. But why, like you said, why did he save her? Like, what was the connection? There's no reason he just like found her, and like Alex said, like he's out there just like mowing people down with flamethrowers and stuff. He doesn't care. So what is it?
Well, in an interview, Morrison recently said that we were going to see some flashbacks. He said between like what happens to him after Empire. I think he probably meant Return of the Jedi, because there's a 5-year gap where we don't know how he got out of the Sarlacc pit or what he did. So like part of me is saying, okay, he may have changed over that course of 5 years to someone who is like, oh, I see someone in the desert who needs help and I'm going to help them. Or maybe he didn't, and he saw an opportunity to get a new teammate. And yeah, like I'll save them, and then they owe me a life debt and they'll stick around and help me. I really want to know what his motivations are and where his head's at now.
I'm not well versed in the Star Wars Legends universe, so I'm gonna point to you. You guys definitely know more than I do. So, what was Boba Fett like when he came out of the Sarlacc pit? Like, what was the like? How did he do it? And then what happens after that?
I gotta be honest with you. I am not. My expertise is not NJO or that era. So if Alex, if you have something to add here,
I knew one of you guys knew it. So
it's a little. It's funny. Okay, he gets out first and then gets onto like a sand crawler, and he's lost his memory and stuff. And then there's this whole. This isn't a random comic where Han gets onto that sand crawler, and the sand crawler winds up back in the Sarlacc pit. So Boba Fett gets out and then falls back into it. So that's goofy. Then he gets his memories back, and he just kind of like ignites his jetpack, which injures the Sarlacc enough for him to get out. He collapses. Then Dengar comes and helps him and like nurses him back to health. After that, he's basically the same. He still kind of hates Han Solo. I think Dark Empire was maybe the first time we knew that he survived and shows back up, and he's like still after Han. So he kind of pops in and out. Sometimes he's an anti-hero, sometimes he's a villain.
Interesting. So he just crawled out. That's still the hardest part for me to just wrap my head around, is that he was able to get out of that thing.
Well, I like people pointed out that, okay, Din got swallowed by the Krayt Dragon and then comes back out of it covered in that acid that we saw melt Tusken Raiders. And it's kind of a hint that, yeah, like Mandalorian armor can stand up to some punishment.
It's fair, but it only covers like vital stuff. There's so much gappage in there. Like, but I guess it explains why he's all burned and stuff. Yeah. They did do a good job with his makeup. I thought that was really impressive. Like just how they made him look like he was beat up by that Sarlacc. So one of the more unknown things when it comes to the Star Wars cinematic universe is the Cassian Andor show. This one I was not really excited about when I first heard about it. I was like, what can they really do with this character? I feel like he shined in Rogue One, but that was really it. Like, does he really deserve his own show? And the more I thought about it, I was like, man, they could really do some James Bond, Star Wars stuff with this character. And the more and more I saw like shots from them like filming, I was like, oh man, I'm really getting excited about this. Do you guys think that this is something that we are looking like as a Star Wars community? Is this something that we are gonna want to see more of? Is less of the normal Skywalker, the typical Skywalker saga show when it comes to like the Force and lightsabers and stuff? And are we really gonna lean more into these really cool characters that are I don't want to say mainstream, but they're not as popular because of like they don't use the Force, they don't use lightsabers. Like do you think like Cassian Andor and more like him will start to pop up in the next couple of years?
I would hope so. I don't know. I'm at a point in my like fandom where I am like I love the Skywalker saga, but we gotta move on from that. And I also think that what we have a lot of right now is you know, Dave Filoni's characters. We have a lot of Ahsoka. We have Rex coming back in the Bad Batch. We have, you know, he's working heavily on Mando, and so we had Bo-Katan, and, you know, all of these cameos, and Thrawn is coming back and whatever. Cassian is not a character that I think any of us would have expected them to expand on, and so I think we do need this. I think we need, you know, I personally love Rogue One. I thought it was phenomenal, and I love Cassian, and he was a fulcrum. You could tie that into Rebels to some extent. But yeah, I think we do need more stories that are not oriented around a Force-sensitive character. Because even Mandalorian, you know, Grogu, not anymore. But yeah, I think we...
Sounds so sad when you say it like that.
Star Wars is so broad. And like something that I really love about Legends, like, is the Mandalorian culture in particular that has nothing to do with Force-sensitive people. Like, there are tons of stories and Legends that have nothing to do with Jedi or Sith. And so, yeah, 100% I want more canon stories like that.
Alex, what do you think that they'll end up... Oh, I'm sorry, Molly. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, when I heard about Andor coming, I was actually really excited for it because I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to show, like, how Cassian met K2SO. I think they said we might not get that until like late in the season, or maybe even...
I think they said not even in the first season.
So maybe not till the second season, but I loved K2SO so much, and I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to get some more humor, possibly. Yeah. Just like some funny stuff in a show. But I think seeing like Cassian come into his rebel intelligence position would be really cool to see, and like see some of the like darker stuff that he's done in his past that he says he's not super proud of. They could get into a lot of that stuff, which would be cool.
That's the line that I always go back to, is in Rogue One, where he's like, I've done terrible things, we all have, and that's why we're going to Scarif, because it can't just fall apart now. That has to matter. So now we get to go back and see like the not so noble side of the rebellion, and the fact that they haven't officially announced it, but Stellan Skarsgård said like, I had scenes with Forrest Whitaker, so Saw Gerrera is going to be in it, which just makes perfect sense. And to have that argument of like, we're fighting a good fight, but how far are you allowed to take it before it becomes part of the dark side, basically? And like having him butt heads with Mon Mothma and Cassian, or maybe Cassian's kind of like the kid caught in the middle. I think that's a really fun dynamic.
Where in the timeline does this line up? Do we know? Do we have any ideas?
I believe they said 5 years before A New Hope,
which would line up to right around Rebels. Would it be before Rebels?
Just
like right around the same time, just before it? Interesting. So I wonder if there's I'm trying to figure out like when they put this in, how does it tie into the next show? Because they do the really good job of tying everything together now. They're really trying to find this cinematic flow. Like look at Rogue One and how Rogue One ends and goes right into Episode 4. When Rebels ends, it goes right into the end of Episode 6. And so like they do these really, really pretty transitions. So I'm curious to see how when you stop watching one, how do you flow into the next part?
Speaking of Rebels, this would be really a cool opportunity to bring Hera Syndulla in.
Yes.
As a character of the show. Like we got her name kind of like mentioned in Rogue One, and she's been in a bunch of different stuff, like in books and Squadrons. So I've got my fingers crossed to see Hera in that show.
It was really surprising to watch her walk onto the bridge in Squadron. I was just like, I was freaking out. I was like, holy crap, that's so cool to see like a character on a TV show then just like kind of like transcend to a different medium. That was really neat.
That's Hera's been in books, comics, animation, video games. So yeah, live action TV show sounds like the next step. I think it would have to be in a later season of Andor, because her cell doesn't join until like 3 years before Rogue One. So maybe season 1 is like 5 years before, and then 2 is 4 years. So maybe every year, maybe we get 5 years of this show. I don't know.
That would be insane. It's absolutely insane, just the amount of content that they're planning on pumping out for the next like 5 years already. I mean, like there's just so many shows. Like we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi as well, which is just like the idea of when this was first announced, when they said an Obi-Wan show could be happening for Disney Plus, I was like, what are they gonna do? It's just an old guy sitting on a dusty planet watching a kid. What can they do to make Obi-Wan seem interesting enough that would make me want to watch the show every week? And I'm still trying. Like we know that Hayden Christensen's coming back and he's going to be Vader, which is really cool. I'm still very much so being a doubting fan, and I still have a hard time trying to figure out what is the hook going to be for Obi-Wan.
I think there's a good chance it's going to be maybe like one last ditch effort to get through to Vader. I'm also kind of hoping for like flashbacks. Like I'm crossing my fingers for Clone Wars flashbacks in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know, Alex, you've talked about this before, like the idea of Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine, taking his eyes off Luke temporarily. You weren't so crazy about that, but what do you think about where this show might go?
If I were running it, I think I would go really trippy with it and do some weird Force vision stuff. Because yeah, I'm not wild about Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine. I think he's going to, and that's fine. Like I'm on board. But I think that we could explore his training that he does with Qui-Gon to become one with the Force, and that could lead to a bunch of kind of like we saw Yoda go through these mental trials where he has to face his darkest self and his biggest failures. And to see Obi-Wan do that, even if he doesn't technically leave the planet, we could still have a lot of crazy, flashbacks or just weird visions in the Force that I think would be fun for us to explore. But I think it's going to be a more basic story of like, in Return of the Jedi, he tells Luke that Obi-Wan once thought as you did, that I could be turned back. And that doesn't have to mean this, but it could be. Although I think that also butts heads with the when we last faced each other, I was but the learner, now I am the master. I think they're just going to like sweep that line under the rug.
But that begs the question, I think everybody's kind of wondering, when they announced that Hayden was coming back, they said, oh, Kenobi and Vader are going to face off again. And I think a lot of people are wondering what that's going to look like, because that is not something that was supposed to happen. Kenobi was supposed to be on Tatooine, like you said, Alex. So I think Force Visions would be a great way to do that, because, Vader had several in which he battled Kenobi, he battled many Jedi, including Jocasta Nu, which I think was pretty interesting. But yeah, I think that's one question I have. What does that rematch look like? Where does that fall in the timeline? Are they gonna how is that? Yeah, I think that's my biggest question from this whole thing.
I love the idea of it all being a vision, but I think that the less invested fan might not. Where if the whole thing wound up being a vision and they kind of like surprised us with that at the end, they'd be like, he didn't even do it. Like, but I think that raises some interesting questions of like kind of like Inception. Yeah. Like even if it didn't really happen, but you have this emotional catharsis, does it matter? I think that's fun, but
that's a trippy thought.
Mad. Yeah,
Obi-Wan just going on vision journeys out in the middle of Tatooine. It's awesome.
I think it's far more likely he will go and face to face confront Vader.
And then again, to your point, like it's confusing when you have lines from Episode 4 that they haven't seen each other in a long time. You know, he even says, I feel a presence that I haven't felt in a very long time. So he hasn't connected with them in a very long time. So how do they correct that? How would you fix that?
That line to that Imperial officer, he's like, a presence I've not felt since, and then he just walks away, and the officer's like, all right, bye, I guess.
Yeah, Vader never finishes his sentences. It's fine. I'm curious as to Liam Neeson saying he definitely was not approached to be in this. What do you guys think about him not being in it or being in it either way? Because I kind of hope he is, and he's just kind of lying.
It makes me kind of grumpy because Yoda tells Obi-Wan that he's going to teach him to commune with his old master. And so, like, I was hoping that would be something that we saw, especially after, like, watching Yoda's trials. Like, it would have been cool to see Qui-Gon walking Obi-Wan through that. Because we all know that's the end product, that he learned, he went through what Yoda went through. So, like, that would be really cool to watch come in real life instead of just watching an animated version of it.
I think as sci-fi fans, or just fans of large fandoms, we are kind of we get to a point where we have to take everything with a grain of salt because you know, I used to be big into Doctor Who. Nobody dies; they always come back, like, and stuff like that. So I think, at least for me personally, having Liam Neeson say that, I'm just like, yeah, okay, like, you signed an NDA, whatever. Like, I don't know. I think it's a very high possibility that he appears, and for sure.
He also doesn't look like he's aged at all. So I think he could just grow his hair back and he's good.
Yeah.
He'll look like he did when I was 10.
I pulled up an excerpt from Star Wars Skywalker, A Family at War by Kristen Baver. And this says, before he and Yoda had parted ways, the old Jedi revealed that Obi-Wan's beloved master Qui-Gon had returned from the netherworld of the Force, manifesting his conscious mind even after death. It took 10 years, but eventually Obi-Wan was able to commune with his dearest friend, resurrected within the cosmic force. Why put that detail in there?
So
Why
put
that
10
detail
years?
in there that it took 10 years, which is exactly when this series is supposed to take place? Like, you could have just said it took a long time. No, it took 10 years.
It's very
I
specific.
absolutely think Liam Neeson is coming.
Where's our gotcha button?
Yeah.
We got him.
Nice try, Liam.
Oh man, could you imagine trying to sit in a spot for 10 years and not hear back from anyone? Hey, are you there? All right, I'll try it again tomorrow. like that sounds really depressing.
Yeah.
And it's hot all the time on Tatooine.
I feel like that's how Sam Jackson feels because he really, really, really wants to be Mace Windu again, and like, I don't think he's getting that phone call.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I've seen some theories on how Mace Windu could have survived from getting Force lightning pushed out a window. And we even, and the only reason why this theory comes up is because people use the High Republic as as the reason to why he could stop himself using the Force, because they're jumping out of spaceships and catching themselves like Superman. So do you really think they're going to use that level of detail to use as the reason as to why Mace Windu came back? Is he used a one-arm Force push to save himself from becoming pancaked onto the floor of Coruscant? No?
We like saw his skeleton, much like we saw Vader's skeleton. I think he was kind of toasted.
I think he was dead before he was thrown out that window.
That's what I thought too. The amount of people that think he's going to come back with he's like part cyborg, and he's almost like he's full on like General Grievous style. Like I don't know why people want him to come back so much. I know in Legends he really is like a almost like a dark guy. Like he's kind of like in the in between, isn't he? He's like he kind of leans into the dark a little bit to kind of get the job done.
Yeah, he's got Shatterpoint, which is technically a dark side power, but but to speak to the High Republic point though, yes, you have Jedi jumping out of these ships, but they're only doing it from like a few hundred meters at most. You know how many stories like Coruscant has?
It's really high up. It's really high up.
I'm not gonna say it'll never happen, and as much as I love Darth Maul's return in the Clone Wars, it sets a bad precedent where it's like you can get cut in half and thrown down a pit. You're fine. You can come back. Mace, I just think that it would be a mistake story wise, because it's such a moment for Anakin. Like, that is his first decision to save Palpatine and join him. And I think it would weaken that moment a little bit if Mace Windu came back. But I'd be down for like a Mace Windu prequel or something. De-age Samuel L. Jackson digitally.
That would be so awkward the whole time. The whole time he's just young Samuel L. Jackson. The weirdest thing to me though is just how Star Wars fans, to the point of like Mace Windu, how Star Wars fans hold on to like these beloved characters and never want to see them leave. Like every single character I feel like that we've ever watched die or anything like that is that they hold on tight to them and just like they like over heroify them. Like they're just like these like just amazing things that could never die. Like Boba Fett. Like Boba Fett was like, I mean, like he had very little screen time, but he had this massive following until he came back. So it's always funny to see like how Star Wars fans just always want to see like that one character come back for like just one more chance. Give him one more chance. Another interesting show that we're getting, which I'm excited for because it brings to life one of my favorite characters, and I would love to talk about the controversy of picking out the person to play Thrawn. But the Ahsoka show is another show in the lineup. But I would love to talk about Thrawn because I absolutely love the character. I love the books. I loved him in Rebels. And I feel I'm very confident in saying that is the show that we will see more Thrawn. I think Mithrandir is going to show up in Ahsoka and not
Gandalf?
in Gandalf.
Mithrandir?
Mithron.
It's so hard to say. I'm sorry. I'm a big Lord of the Rings nerd too. So,
damn it, Alex! You got me all messed up. Hold on.
I can't say Mithron.
Mithron Niroto. There we go. Mithron Niroto. Do you think we're gonna see him in? Do you think we're gonna see him in Ahsoka, or like, do you think we're gonna see him in Mandalorian? I feel like that's gonna be Ahsoka is gonna be the show that he's gonna make his appearance. Ahsoka's hunting for Thrawn. She's hunting for Ezra. Thrawn was the last person to be with him, so it makes sense to see him show up in Ahsoka. But a lot of people are very concerned about who's gonna play this character, and I feel like there's only one person that could be him. But what do you guys think? Who do you think would be the perfect Thrawn actor?
I'm a fan of Lars Mikkelsen. I say just keep him. He already did the voice. I think if you can keep the voice actor and have them play them in live action, go for it.
If we can't get Pierce Brosnan, like a young Pierce Brosnan, fine.
That will be wild. If it's actually Pierce Brosnan after that like celebration art, it was like Thrawn and it just looks like Pierce Brosnan. I'll love that too.
I mean, I hate to be basic, but I really was on the Benedict Cumberbatch train. I just think he's a phenomenal actor, and I think he'd play a great Thrawn. But you know, he did that interview, and he's like, I don't want to be blue. Okay, don't be blue. That's fine.
What a diva.
But I think he'd do great. But no, I mean, I think Lars Mikkelsen is the way to go. But I don't think, you know, there for a while there was like a Robert Downey Jr. rumor.
Yes, I saw that, and I was like, how does that work? And they painted him blue, and I'm like, that doesn't even look like Thrawn.
Yeah, no, I think he's just such a compelling character and such a beloved character, and I don't think we're going to be disappointed. Whoever it is, I think they're going to spend a lot of time figuring it out, because yeah.
Honestly, if it's not Lars, I'm going to flip a table. He's modeled after him. Like, it's like there's no other person but him. I feel like in my heart, like it has to be him. But where we leave off with Thrawn is very interesting. He's getting sucked into hyperspace by these massive creatures. I still fervently believe that Thrawn he's extremely smart. He's always 5 steps ahead of you. He always knows what's going to happen. And for Thrawn to allow that to happen to him, I feel like it only happened because he wanted it to happen. And my point is, do you think Thrawn used that as a way to get back to the Ascendancy? I'm currently reading through the Ascendancy books, and also at the end of book 3 in the Thrawn series, he ends up in a very interesting situation with the Emperor. The Emperor is doubting him completely. He's like, I still fervently believe you are 100% with the Ascendancy. You are not committed to me. And so do you guys feel like this is going to be a way for Thrawn to get back to the ascendancy, and that's why Ahsoka hasn't been able to find him?
What's interesting, I feel like book Thrawn and future TV show Thrawn are going to be two very different characters.
Really?
I think even animation Thrawn and book Thrawn are very different.
Really?
Yeah, because Alex, you've talked about this before. Like Timothy Zahn writes Thrawn as, much more of a kind of a good guy. Like he's on his side, but I think he's gonna have to be very much a villain.
Oh my. Okay. Wait. Hold on. Is that why I constantly find myself agreeing with what he's doing?
Also,
No.
that smooth voice. If you're listening to the audiobook,
all of it is audio tape for me. So, is that really how he writes Thrawn?
I think so.
Oh no.
I mean, so the first Legends Thrawn trilogy, he was a villain. A different kind of villain, maybe more understandable, but he was a bad guy, and he dies at the end of it. And then I think every time Timothy's on, he loves the character, which a lot of people do. I love the character, but he keeps writing him to be more and more of a good guy that maybe went down the wrong path. And I still think that can work. Just like, he made a deal with the devil, the emperor, and that corrupts him. I really do think that when he comes back in live action, he is going to be a villain, and that he's basically going to be treated like he was in the original Thrawn trilogy. I don't think they're going to do any of this. Is he good? Is he bad?
Because for the casual viewer, we got that Ahsoka episode in The Mandalorian, and it was a great way for Disney Plus to be like, if you don't know, here's Ahsoka, here's a name drop of Thrawn. Go check out all these other episodes of shows and stuff to know more about these characters, because they're going to have their own show, and she's going to be the good guy, Thrawn's going to be the bad guy. So.
And most of the people watching this show have no idea what the Chiss Ascendancy is, so it's going to be Timothy Zahn's job after the fact, like after Thrawn has his live action debut, and whether he lives or dies, then I think Timothy Zahn is going to come along and write about how, everything he did was actually in service of the Ascendancy and this and that. But for the purposes of the show, I think he's just going to be the bad guy.
Crap. It's just like, I mean, like even in the show, because I was reading the books and watching Rebels at the same time, and I just always saw everything that Thrawn did was always for the glory of the Ascendancy, and like so he was just he did it because he had to, and so I always kind of just put him as just like chaotic neutral, like he's just doing it because he's got to. But like the thought of like the author writing his entire story so that you feel like he is the protagonist the whole way through is just like I just took him. I knew that he was doing it because he was a good guy, not because he is a bad guy, but the way that his story is told is to make you think that he's a good guy. And that blows my mind. Because I've come to really love this character as someone who is loyal, someone who is obedient, but someone who is very passionate, right? Like the way he's written about is just like he's this very interesting character. But I don't know how he is in Legends or in EU. I'm not familiar with that character. Is he the same way?
Pretty much. He's pretty similar to that eventually. Not so much in the original Thrawn trilogy, but, Outbound Flight, anything beyond that. Yeah, I'd say he's much more relatable, understandable. I still think that in canon you can reconcile the two, but most people aren't going to even know that they have to do that. Most people are just going to watch the show, and that'll be their Thrawn. And that's it.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time left, but I do want to talk about Acolyte. What do you think it's going to be about? Because I like, for me, like the edgy, like the kid who wants to be like the Sith when he grows up, like for me, like that's what I think of when I hear Acolyte, but I feel like I'm going to be really wrong.
I mean, it's they said it was like a darker show, right? Did they say dark side specifically? I can't remember.
Or dark, like people's heads are getting cut off, kind of dark. Like,
I would love to see Exegol in the show, just to throw out like a random location and topic, since we don't know much about it but this is going to be, I guess, the tail end of the High Republic era.
Right.
Potential dark side stuff going on. I think it would be really cool to see what's going on Exegol at this point in time. Who's there? What kind of Sith meetings are they having? Who's bringing the snacks?
Who's bringing the coffee to the Sith meeting?
For my part, I mean, I'm kind of like, people know me as like, oh, she's the Sith. And so, you know, I'm super, super stoked for this. And we don't have, we have stories about Sith within the context of the story of the hero. And, you know, this is going to be the first time where we have a Sith story in canon. And I feel like this is expected of me, but I want to see ancient Sith lore that perhaps we know about from Legends work its way into canon. And we've seen, you know, I love the High Republic, and the High Republic especially has kind of dropped bits and pieces of Old Republic information into the canon timeline. Really little stuff, but like they have alluded to the ancient Sith Empire. They did in Into the Dark, and so that's my biggest hope. Like, let's learn about where the Sith originated from in canon and what that looks like, and how that led us to Palpatine and his reign over the galaxy. So
I looked up the blurb. It says the Acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take the audience into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. I really want kind of like a cat and mouse style story, because we know that there's two Sith, and they may have acolytes. That might be someone different, but I love the idea of like the master and the apprentice. They've been working for like 900 years as a whole order to stay secret, but they have to do something, and it like kind of makes their presence known a little bit, and the Jedi are trying to find them. I would just love to see almost a chase, kind of a story of like, here's some Jedi investigators and the people they're chasing, and they're trying to stay secret. We would know that they ultimately succeed, but I think that would be super fun to watch.
In my head, I would love to see more Drangir, but I want to see them in live action. They're really, really cool. Like this, they almost remind me of like the Halo, like Flood character, like this, just like this organic, just like hive thing. And so like I would hope they touch on that a little bit and bring it into live action. I think that'd be really, really neat, especially we know that the Sith interacted with them at some point, and they had to suppress them because they were just like this ultimate source of darkness. Like they were afraid of them, so they had to figure out how to suppress them. So I would assume that I would, at least in my mind, when it comes to the High Republic, knowing that we have something that's darker than like the dark side, like that we know of, that we've been shown, I would hope that kind of ties in there somewhere. And then we also have the Nihil too. I wonder if that has anything to do. Like, we don't really know what they're gonna do during the High Republic window that we get.
The more we get into the High Republic, the more I think that, like, I had these assumptions that the Nihil and the Drangir would be the big threats of the High Republic, but I'm starting to wonder if they're just kind of a red herring, or like they're just the tip of the iceberg, and that whatever they do is going to lead to something worse and worse and worse, and that they might not even be a big part of the High Republic when all is said and done. That it's like a bunch of different little escalating conflicts instead of just one big one.
Yeah. They're gonna have to do something really interesting, I would say, to close up all those stories to get to where we actually start Star Wars.
Do we think that there's going to be any recognizable characters in the Acolyte, or do you think that it's going to be just all new stuff?
Possible. It would have to. I mean, it's a couple. Is it like 100 years after what's going on right now? Like, it's a ways out from like where we are in the timeline, I think. But I've seen this theory that Bloated Greatstorm becomes a Sith. And I don't know how he would have lived that long, but I have seen that theory. So maybe, I don't know.
That would break my
heart.
Love.
So yeah, I love Loden. So the Acolyte should take place about 50 years before the Phantom Menace. So I would love to see, whoever the Sith are at that point. And I think Darth Plagueis would be involved, whether he's the master or the apprentice at that point. it makes sense to me. I think that time adds up.
Awesome.
And I've always wondered if we, as far as like the good guys go, if we could see someone like Yoda in that series, because we know at the end of The Phantom Menace that he knows about the Sith. He knows, always too, there are master and apprentice. So I would love to see Yoda just kind of like sneaking around, trying to figure out like what the Sith are up to.
Yep.
Something
All right,
like that
guys.
would be cool.
Well, we've got like 10 seconds left of the panel. So real quick, guys, thank you so much for watching Sawyerism on TikTok, Star Wars Explained over on YouTube. You can find me here on Rare Drop. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you later. Sorry, we got away, and it was just like, it was 10 seconds left.
GCX main event, the ads, those were good. We love that.
No, you say those were good, except the ticket ad that we did. To give you guys some backstory on that, first of all, Big Cheese is hiding everywhere and every single one of the bits that we shot. But I realized that I've got RBF like no other. And I've always known it. Like my mom tells me at holiday dinner, she's like, I can see you over there thinking. But we said something about getting your, tickets for an event, and you see Ben and Tim splashing each other with water, and then it cuts back to me like this.
Yeah.
Deadpan. And I'm happy. That's my happy face.
Next year, whenever people see you, and they'll be like, Rukari, like,
the next ads we do, I'm cheesing the entire time, just all fronts, just like
you're gonna have put Big Cheese in some competition.
No, Cheese got the real grill, but I gotta do something about this. That's my game face too. Like this is my second monitor here. If I'm playing something, whether it be Destiny, Call of Duty, just that.
It's
all right.
always like mouth drop and then like the little bubbles.
The worst. Don't say that. Do I got stuff at the corner of my mouth? Oh,
You get the crusties.
all right.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're good.
Absolutely
You're good right now. Sorry, I just hit my mic. Apologies, everybody. It wasn't you. It was me. But I'm glad that the Star Wars and Scotch thing occurred. Hopefully that tickled your fancies if you are into that. I walked into my living room and my husband's watching it. So there you go. So you got your Star Wars film. But actually, I'm really, really stoked for this next segment because we're continuing our series of panels and content for y'all today as we welcome back our friends from the Destiny Community Podcast. And I've actually been on DCP before. Don't worry, I'm nobody big, but I love Destiny.
You see that subtle flex right there? So we're about to do DCP.
No,
I've been on it.
I'm nobody, but they are somebodies. And I love their podcast so friggin' much. I'm super excited.
All right, so we've asked about the fandom, like when we were talking Star Wars, when we were talking MCU. So you've been on DCP. Tell me about your involvement with Destiny. What got you into it? I mean, this whole event came through from Destiny Community. So yeah, I want to know your backstory on it.
Oh yeah, Destiny got me into streaming, and Destiny Community has just been honestly one of the best communities ever. Like, and that's what. Now I'm here doing GCX because of the Destiny community.
Oh, that's awesome. That's legit.
Love it.
See, Destiny was my first foray into something that was outside of the arena style shooter, right? And I remember jumping in and finding this guy Zur and being like, what is this?
Oh my gosh.
He wants 23 strange coins for what? But then I started to hear chatter, and this is back when I worked at Xbox, and you would hear people talking about Destiny and what these strange coins meant. And it became this like almost like a focus group, right? This little cluster of individuals that would meet and chat and talk about all the things that we love Destiny. And it became kind of like the first group that I'd ever do strikes or anything of the like with. It was a definite fun new experience. So I stumbled across all of this just in my hunt for more Destiny content. And now I get to be a part of it.
I know you're in it.
Right. Yeah. We made it. We made it.
Listen to Destiny Community Podcast. And if I remember correctly, if I heard correctly, it's going to be the original DCP cast.
I no spoilers from me. I don't know. It doesn't say that in my talk track. It might in yours. But what that should let you know is that Sam and I, we're not the people that you're excited to hear about. And I would give you a proper introduction, but instead, I'll just say enjoy the DCP and we'll see you right after. All right.
It's also really cool to be able to afford, like, we have a live-in maid nanny.
Oh, cool. It looks like we're live now.
Hello.
Hey, yeah, we're live. We live?
We love when things.
Hello, gamers. Or should I say
Welcome.
space
Space Knots?
Is it
Space Knots?
Is it DCP Live in space?
TC Briar's definitely in space.
I'm drinking
are we-
space coffee.
DCP Live in space.
Space.
Pope is now stuck. Oh, Pope was stuck in that for a while. But this is what happens.
Pope's
when you're
in limbo.
Space, okay?
Yeah.
This is a normal space activity.
Yeah, space limbo. Yeah, throughout the show, it seems like Pope's audio is going to be okay, but his video is definitely choppy. And you know what? That's just how it is when you're halfway across the world, right?
It's on the other side of the planet. There's 2 space stations.
Yeah, 2 space. Yeah,
Two
exactly.
space-
Yeah, you're right.
2 spaces. Yeah.
Also,
We're
Holtz-
bouncing it off of one Elon Musk's satellites.
Exactly. Starlink. Yep. Holtz is back as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is an awesome episode, right? Like
This is the original DCP group that we
the OG.
started
The
many
OG,
years
yeah.
ago.
So I want
Still
you
hate all
guys
of
to
you.
know I went back and watched the first episode where it was us
on the PlayStation.
when it was back all the way back when it was us. This 4 was this 5 was the first
okay.
5,
Back at the
on
Planet
the
Destiny
Planet
group.
Destiny
Planet
podcast?
Destiny.
Oh,
days.
PD days.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah.
Wow.
And Holtzman did the intro,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And man, was it hilarious. If you want a blast from the past, go back and watch it because you could see a sliver of our roles and personalities that developed over the years. But
Nice.
we're just
Do you know
feeling
what
each other
episode number
out,
that
you
was?
know, we're just I want to say it's like 60 or 1 or something like that, or
Okay.
I forget now. We'll have to go back. There was a bunch of episodes before me. You guys were doing this before I arrived.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how.
And then you came in around like episode 15 or something like that because you weren't our first guest, but you were something around there. Do you want me to do the intro just for
Yeah.
old time's
Let's hear
sake?
it. Yeah.
Give a classic whole DCP
Yeah, let's hear it.
intro.
Yes.
It's episode
But you gotta-
243, by the way.
No, wait,
Why
don't-
would you tell me
Why
that
would you tell me
beforehand?
So
Oh
he's
my
gonna screw it
God,
up.
Tefty.
He's gonna screw it up anyways.
Yeah, but he has to screw it up first.
I can't even do the intro right now. It's okay. I wasn't listening.
The point be
Hello
Yeah, there you go.
and welcome to episode 249, 3, 6,
Oh,
936. Yeah.
243
Mm-hmm.
of the Destiny Community Podcast. This week we have Pope Bear coming in from his space station orbiting above Thailand. The normal crew here, Briar is in some sort of
Get it right.
X-wing, you know.
He's also a
X-wing
ninja.
fighter.
He's also a ninja. We'll have to get some ninja action.
Yeah. Can we get a ninja thing real quick? No, not that ninja thing. The other ninja thing.
The other ninja thing.
oh.
The smoke.
Briar, are you
The
incapable
poof?
of
Smoke
speaking?
bomb with the ninja.
Yeah, the ninja thing. Boom! Look at that.
And the way it comes back,
That's
it looks
amazing.
like you're in Star Trek or something. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
For our audio listeners,
that.
there's no description available to what just happened. I'm sorry.
There's
You have to see
no-
the video on
There's
that.
nothing.
Yeah.
Also,
You're
this
gonna-
helmet is
Just
squeezing the
disappeared.
eyeballs out of my head. So
Oh my goodness.
I can almost feel the pain.
So we actually have a shorter show, right? We have a 45-minute slot because we're
do.
on the space station right now. So
Yes.
this is going to be a different format from the typical DCP show because it's in space. And that means we also don't really know where we're going with the show right now. We're just freeballing it, right?
We
Yeah.
totally planned specific segments to take up the 45
Yes.
minutes.
Oh, totally.
you know, I thought it'd be
100%.
fun actually to talk about when everybody joined DCP. Like, what was the experience like? It was obviously not DCP when we all got together, but do you guys remember like kind of the your first episode or your first
Yes.
kind of initiation into Planet Destiny's
Yes.
podcast?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
so
do.
Patrick, it'd be first for you probably.
Yeah, I was the first member because the first episode of the Planet Destiny podcast was me and Sir Wallen talking about, I think
I
Dark
miss
Below
Wally.
or something, and then our editor and chief at Planet Destiny was like, "Hey, we need more people on this." And then I think Briar was very shortly after that, and then after that, Tefty got added, and then and we still had Wally on the podcast then, and then Pope got added shortly after that. But then our editor kept wanting more and more people on the
We had
podcast.
like 8 people podcast.
Yeah, I swear, if I didn't tell him no, we would have had a podcast of like 20 people. And the only reason I told him no is because I was the one editing it, and I just didn't want to edit that much.
I remember our editor, he had said we need something for like a Patreon or something like that, and I suggested, well, I do podcasts. Why don't I start a podcast? And like a month later, I see Patrick doing a podcast. I was like, hey, I'd like to be on a podcast.
and that's how it
I remember
started.
I had just come off of doing Dad's Week. So we were doing, Dads of Destiny stuff. And we had done a couple ride-alongs, one on the Cosmodrome and then one on the Dark Below, right? Crota's End. So we had done 2 ride-alongs, and then we were doing a podcast as well. And I was out of my mind, like, busy with the Dads of Destiny stuff, and I just threw up my hands and I said, I don't want to be like in charge of this stuff anymore. And so I gave up like the control of it, and then I reached out to you guys and was like, all right, I just want to be on a podcast. I don't want to run it. I remember that's the funny thing about this is I remember telling you guys, I'm like, okay, I'll do this. I want it, but I just want to be a guest. I just want to be on it for a little bit, because I still want to talk about Destiny, but I don't want to run anything.
Right.
And naturally,
those that don't
went on
know,
to form
Pope
DCP.
Pope ended up running all of DCP for a solid
of it.
Yeah. So
until he left for Thailand.
Until
we were
middle
on
last
Planet
year.
Destiny. And Pope was like, what if we just, do our own thing, separate, do our own thing? And then Pope became podcast producer, manager, and babysitter.
Yeah.
Podcast dad.
Podcast dad.
Podcast dad.
You went from Dads of
Babysitter,
Destiny
yeah.
to podcast dad.
And I want to say Watts has become a very good single mom. She's a podcast mom now. She's taken over. I'm very proud of her.
Thank you.
I see the desperate tweets I see the desperate messages in the group Twitter account saying, hello, is anybody please
talk to
answer
me. For the love of God.
Try to plan this thing. Can somebody respond?
Oh my goodness.
I don't think Tefty or I are on Twitter quite enough.
Not as much.
Rapidly respond.
You still
to
wouldn't
some of the
respond even if we were
messages.
like directly
true.
texting you, sending letters.
I have texted, and it's the same. It's the same thing. Email, that's definitely not going to work.
However, the show does happen every week, though. So
It does. Almost every week.
Almost, yeah, almost.
Yes.
So, Tefty, when did you join the show?
Yeah, it was something like around episode 20 or 25 or something like that. For
Was
Planet
that
Destiny.
late? I don't remember a show without Patrick
Yeah.
and Tefty, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it started in December, right, of 2014.
It started when Dark Below.
Yeah,
Dark
so
Below,
that's December
had just
2014.
released.
Yeah.
I remember I joined up. I feel like it was around February or March was my first episode. Getting in, and it was awesome. It was fun. It is funny, like feeling out personalities on a show for the first time.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember the first episode. Like I don't remember specifics or anything, but I definitely remember that feeling of being on Skype.
It's like, how much can we bully each other? You got to feel that out. You can't go right in.
Right.
You gotta
Turns
feel
out
it out.
there's no limit, really.
I stopped doing content creation and went into the game dev industry specifically to stop getting bullied by you guys. So
Yes,
Well, welcome
it
back.
worked. I told you it would work, guys. Hey, do you guys, since we're down this memory lane, do you guys remember the first Guardian Con that we went to as a group?
I do.
Yes.
Was it this?
Yes.
Was it this one? Was this the one, or the 2018 one, or my shirt, or was it the one before that one?
That's a
it was before that one.
Yeah, I feel like it was
It's hard because
before.
obviously we've all gone individually, but then there was one where we all went together and had a booth.
And we had a booth.
2018
Remember?
was the one that we
had a
went
booth.
together as a group.
Yeah.
I really, 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 really had fun that year.
It was great.
That was our first time having a booth. I remember Patrick constantly like sneaking off to play Magic.
Play Magic cards.
Yeah, with Carp.
Yep.
But
we
people
had
would
a- we
come
had
and
a-
want pictures and autographs, and they're like, "Where's Holtzman?"
Playing Magic.
We had a
Magic calls.
we had a live stream going, and then like with interviews and God, man, that was a fun Guardian Con.
It was, yeah.
was very, very
I'm
fun.
excited that they announced that there's another one. They're going to do another in-person one next year. I got excited about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really great.
Yeah. And people can sign up
It's a
for
great
that right
time
now,
to be.
right? Like you can buy tickets for
Yeah.
that for next year.
Yeah. And also
Yeah.
your ticket, if you had one for last year, you can still use it for 2022. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
really cool. Yep.
Yeah,
so-
CG Keen in chat said, "Is that the one where Pope shaved his beard and glued it to Fallout's face?" Yeah, that was the one. This
Yes.
video. That was the
yeah,
internet.
that one.
Yeah.
That was
the
one.
Memories.
And
Watts, do you remember
I
your first podcast?
I don't remember the very first one because I remember being a guest on Planet Destiny. I remember that. And then we also did the like Nightfall one-on-one chats.
Yeah.
where we did Nightfall with Tefty and we're just
Yep.
talking about stuff, which was really, really fun.
Those were fun.
That was a
yeah.
good time
Yeah.
actually. So I don't remember exactly.
Was that your interview? Was that
My
was that you
interview for-
interviewing for the?
Yeah,
If it
my-
was,
For
I
the
didn't
show?
know that it was an interview.
yeah, no one knew. But Pope did. He was sitting there like, yes. So yeah, I don't remember the exact one. I remember when it was generally.
It was
But-
it was before that first Guardian Con that we went to because you had just joined the show because I think Pope had left and we were like, oh, we'll have Watts take your place,
That's
and then
right,
Pope came back like
That's true.
10 episodes later.
I got to
so
pick
like, all right.
I got to pick my replacement. I remember that. How many times have I left the show? How many times have I quit this?
A few times, man. Yeah.
a
It's a
lot.
legacy.
It's like a
only-
yearly. It was a yearly thing.
It's like
there for a
seasonal
while.
content.
Yeah.
Seasonal content.
I mean-
Seasonal DLC. Pope leaves again. Pope's back.
Then do you remember when
Wow.
we actually left Planet Destiny and joined and like created DCP? That was
It was scary.
Yeah, it was
Scary and
super
it was
exciting.
scary, right?
Do you all want some like serious lore for those listening?
Yeah.
You know how we came up with the name Destiny Community Podcast?
I do.
Yeah, Pope basically gave us like a couple names, and then no one responded to how we wanted to what we wanted to call it,
Per
and so
usual.
we picked Destiny Community Podcast. There was no
And
like
then I
consensus.
said, we're now called this, and I put all the links in the chat.
Yep.
You okayed it.
I
with,
liked it though. I
Bungie
dug it.
though, right? It's like you actually okayed the name.
Yeah. So there was I was concerned that there would be copyright infringements, and I wanted to be able
Right.
to, do the show without having Bungie all of a sudden decide that we had to change the name. So I got it cleared all the way through their whole process, got signed off before we ever used it. But yeah, I remember asking Deej, I was like, can you check to see if this is going to be a copyright issue? And then he goes, it's probably not going to be, but you should probably be more creative than that.
Yeah.
I liked the name because it's about the Destiny community. Like that's what the podcast is. We get people from all over the community, whether it's streamers, YouTubers, artists. We kind of bring everyone on and talk to them. So I liked that it was centered around the Destiny community.
Yeah.
Even the
So,
Twitch
I think it was.
questions portion is about the community, right? It's
Yep.
like people like joining in on the conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're very community based.
Well, and then the whole idea behind it was to take to do the different. It evolved over the years, but it was just content creators, and it became artists, leaders. It became an area for us to promote maybe streamers or content creators that didn't have really huge audience. But jived with us. It was a really fun really fun progression over time as to where we had originally started to the concept we ended up. And I think that proud was that we always had a support to I always felt like we had a good
kind of losing
feel
Pope a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit of cutting in and out right now from Thailand.
Are you saying that we liked each other? That is false news.
We always had a nice, it's a nice mix of stuff coming in and out, and we try our best. Honestly, I think that's what it is. We try our best to be as inclusive as possible, even though that's technically impossible with how big the community is. We can't include every single person because that's literally impossible. But we try our best, and we know that there's a lot of people that we haven't had on the show.
Yeah.
Message Watts.
Yeah. Feel free to. Feel free to. Because, we've always been like, it doesn't matter your size or, what you're doing. If you're someone who kind of fits with what we're all about, of just being community and friendly and awesome, then, we'd love to have you on the show. So.
Yeah, we've been fooled a couple of times.
Yeah, we have. Hey, remember that guy? Never mind. I don't want to talk about that. That one I promised I would block out of my memory.
Then we had the big launch of DCP, right? Do you remember the big night was with Ari?
Yeah, I had Triple on.
And we're all ready to go. Triple Rec is going to be on, and we're all ready to go. And we could not get Skype working. So we all had to join a PlayStation chat and record the show and broadcast the show
Discord.
from a PlayStation. Yeah, this was before Discord existed.
Yeah.
From a PlayStation chat, and it sounded awful, but that was our first episode. That was episode number
first
one.
Episode. That set up DCP's whole history. We were planned. We had things in place. It all went to crap, and then we had to go on PlayStation. So
it's been pretty much
the
running
podcast
like that
from the
ever
tower.
since. That's right. That's when we used to do the video podcasts, where the video portion of the podcast would be us in the tower, or sometimes we did raids and stuff, but we'd actually be in Destiny.
Yeah, it's good times.
Which was distracting.
It was very distracting. I remember it was tough to just focus on topics when you're in the middle of taking down a raid boss.
We did one at the entrance to the Vault of Glass one time. And, every once in a while, somebody would come and be opening up the doors to the Vault of Glass, and we're sitting there talking on the cliffside and having our show. And then things are spawning and shooting at us, and we're like, oh.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, that was because we hadn't been streaming the show yet on Planet Destiny, and we were testing out better video options for it. And then we officially went live with it and started doing it live. And that it was obviously better to do the video for that.
Yeah, going live, I think, was a stroke of genius. That wasn't common, I don't think, with podcasts at the time.
Right.
I don't know whose idea it was. Can anybody take credit for that idea, or was it just obvious to everybody but
Probably
me?
Pope Bear.
Probably Pope. But Pope Bear was. I mean, you're the big idea guy. You've always been the big idea guy, and that's why you're so sorely missed now. Is because, the big events that we did in the history of DCP, they originated in Pope Bear's brain.
Yeah, it's all to do with Pope. None of us, rest of us, are just simply not crazy enough to try and plan.
Podcast showdowns, and also eating briar, barbecuing them, all came from Pope.
That is true. That's been confirmed.
It was really offensive.
Isn't true. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It takes a group of people crazy enough to fall, like to just go along with some of my dumbass, knowing full well that some of them are not gonna work out. That it might just spectacularly crash and burn.
I think we've mastered
somehow managed between, and we're missing one important person. Okay, we are in a place where we had a team that was putting a product forward and putting our face really.
Really?
who's our sixth?
Yes, Ash.
Ash is a huge part of the
Ash
show.
is
Yeah, Pope. You've been cutting out a little bit here and there. So
I have no idea
Yeah,
what's
I'm
going
so
on. I'm
sorry.
not gonna
We're
lie.
talking about Ash. She's the official, actually,
sorry.
sixth member of the podcast.
Yep.
And Ash was with us from the beginning, making the logo and all of the art and all of everything. And Ash is just phenomenal.
I
And it's
remember-
been really cool to see her grow as well, through all the different portraits of people.
What? I couldn't afford to pay her at the beginning.
No.
And I remember sitting there looking at her stuff and going, I was paying her out of my pocket, right? And I go, okay, look, we need you to be sixth member of this team. And then she said, I love you guys.
Oh,
Oh,
she said she loves us, which is very nice.
There is, luckily for us, there is a local recording of the show.
There is a
So
local
Okay,
recording.
great.
When you
I
listen
will have
back
to
to it.
listen to these.
It'll be a little easier to understand. I remember seeing Ash's art. She did like all of us, like not caricatures, but like kind of like drawings of all of us. And I remember seeing that for the first time and just being blown away by it. And now every time it's like every episode that we have a new guest on, she does new art for the guest, and the art has just gotten so good. Like it's just amazing. It really is fantastic.
Yep.
We're lucky. We're so lucky.
We're very, very
super
lucky.
lucky. Oh my god.
Especially Pope being like, so can't pay you, but we think you're cool.
Clout though, right?
Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that.
Don't
If you are
do
trying to
that.
hire someone, don't ever do that. By the way.
No, I'm sure no one will.
Oh, hey. So speaking of things that are great, Bungie's selling a toaster.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was
Don't
announced
ever
today.
that-
It was announced today. So the story behind it says that in June 2020, the Destiny community raised more than $800,000 for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital during Bungie's live stream. So this was the GCX stream last year. And then during that live stream, Bungie announced that if they hit 777,777 cents, we would look into making an official Destiny poster. So Get That Bread is a silly community meme, but now you can actually buy the toaster. It is on the store, and there's an emblem that comes with it that literally has toast on it. I want the emblem. It's got toast on it. So the toaster actually toasts the Destiny emblem logo on your toast.
Yeah, like the tricorn logo actually comes out on the toast.
It does.
The toaster looks awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna buy it if we can manage to make this happen, which we definitely will. This is
It's already a thing.
no-brainer.
The
We did
toaster
it
is
last
legit.
year.
It's already happened. Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, it
Right,
already
like,
happened. It was
You can
for
go
getting...
to the you can go to the store right now and add to
I
cart.
think it's $85, right? Pre-order.
It
It
is
is an expensive
$84.99.
but it makes a tricorn. So
Yeah,
10%
It's the
of the-
coolest toaster I've ever seen.
By the way, 10% of the profits from the toaster will go to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So
I just added it
Yeah.
to my cart. It's there
totally
now.
worth it. And you get the emblem right away. So you might not get the toaster right away, but you do get the emblem immediately. So you get to run around with toast on your name, which is pretty great.
That's cool.
I wonder how my wife's gonna feel about having this toaster in the kitchen.
yeah, I'm gonna have to convince Andy to let us buy this toaster because our current toaster only toasts one piece of toast.
Oh my god! If you need a new
That's fine.
toaster,
Oh.
this is a no-brainer.
You can't even do
This is a no-brainer.
Seriously.
I don't
This
know
may
why
be
we
my
got
office toster.
office toaster. You making BLTs in your office?
I can now. I got an office toaster.
Didn't know I needed an office toaster. My god.
All right. I mean, this thing's pulling 700 watts, about as much as your computer. So I hope you got a good power supply going into your office there.
I do not. So I kind of wanted to catch up with you guys. We haven't seen you guys in a long time. I don't know. You want to start with Holtzman? Holtzman, what have you been up to? Like, It's been a while.
Yeah, I've literally been working like every single day and at Poorly Timed Games, working on a sci-fi roguelike tactical RPG game. It's a
Cool. I
lot
like
of
these words.
terms I just kind of
I like all
threw
those
out.
words though.
Yeah, I
But
like
yeah,
it.
that's describing games in a nutshell there. Yeah, we're working on a fun thing. We'll have more to show about it later, but I am just in the middle of working on that a bunch. Literally was working on it as the first part of the show started.
What do you do? Like, what's your kind of?
I am. I guess I'm the jack of all trades there now. I do a little bit of everything. I do a lot of design work, like investment, combatant, sandbox type. If you want to use those
That's
terms.
amazing.
Cool.
I'm like editing videos for them as well, doing audio engineering and design a little bit of that. Yeah, so a little bit of everything, but we have an incredible group of people here at the company, and they are all just absolutely killing it, working on this.
Nice.
Does anybody at your new job actively take pleasure in making your life more difficult?
What?
Does anybody at your new job actively take pleasure in making your life more difficult?
No, that's just the nature of game design.
Oh, okay.
So,
So in a way, we've been preparing you for game design.
Ah, yes, the
Yeah.
DCP Game Design Boot Camp. That's what
You're
we
welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You're welcome. Yeah,
All of Colt's
that's right,
success
Briar.
is down to our bullying.
I feel
So
so
Pope, what have you
honored.
been up
We
to
have
since you
made-
left DCP?
We'll see
Oh,
how
nope.
this goes.
Uh-oh.
Made are you
May the force be with you?
Am I back?
Not really.
a little bit,
Kind of.
a little bit.
Should Pope turn off his video? He seemed to be audio doing much better before the
Yeah.
video was on.
Turning off the video might help.
let's try it out.
Yeah. Jeez.
While we wait to see what happens there.
Hey, this is what happens when you're in two different space
Yeah.
stations across the universe, the
We-
galaxy.
That's right.
We could talk while Pope fixes his setup. We could talk about the story stuff in Destiny this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Sustress, huh?
Yeah.
Mr. Sussy Baka, I'm telling you.
Well, the whole Savathun, right? It's officially
Sabbath food, yes.
Savathun's
Yeah.
officially manipulating stuff.
Did you guys read the lore from this week?
Definitely
No.
not.
Have not.
Because that's the part that's crazy. Is
Okay.
so
Fill us in.
essentially, Savathun is in somebody's body in the tower,
Mm-hmm.
and she's talking about, oh, it's so icky and gooey. She pukes on some people. It's pretty cool. She's basically Tefty. I'm Sea of Thieves. Savathun is Tefty.
That's
in
Holtz.
Sea of Thieves.
That's originally Holtz. Yeah.
I was the one that got so
That is
drunk
true.
while
So drunk
while
we had to
playing
lock
that.
you up. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that.
I was
Yeah.
continually locked up. It was not fun, but I kept ordering Jimmy John's, so it was okay.
Yeah, I was the one taking it serious that one session and getting upset.
That
over
one
not-
session. That
over-
was the only
It
session.
was the only session, and then from that
Lesson
point on,
learned.
that point on, lesson learned. You need to not take anything ever serious about getting anything done in Sea
I
Thieves.
remember you getting quite angry at Holtz.
I was. I
Your
wanted to get-
drunk Holtz.
We had loot. The quest was about to get done. I was like, I want my reputation, and Holtz was puking on me the whole time.
I vaguely remember your ship blowing up.
Oh, it's
as well.
better. Now we
That
can
sounds
hear.
better,
so,
Pope.
so Savathun is in someone's body in the tower. People are like, maybe it's Osiris. Next, Pope Bear. Let's talk about you. What have you been up to? Where have you been? What's happening?
For people who may not know, I work as an educator, so I'm administrator, and I am the principal of an international school in Bangkok, and my wife is a teacher here, and my kids go to school, and it's quite an adventure. We sold everything we had over there in the States and moved here, and we're going to spend a couple 2-3 years here, and then we'll to somewhere in Spanish-speaking country next, and then after that we African country after that.
Wow.
But we're not really sure what our just want to travel for next 5 to 10 years, and then come. We've had a kid that was along the way.
Congratulations!
So
Congrats, Pope.
Who's 4 months old, Harper. So awesome. So I've got a 3-year-old, 13-year-old.
Nice.
Pope had the best, I think, COVID experience out of anybody. He packed up his family and moved to Thailand.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
a 2-month camping spree in the middle of that.
I think we lost Pope again.
Yeah.
Oh, did we?
There we go.
Oh no, he's here. He's here.
Yeah, it's just delayed. Or
That's a good
not.
picture.
We found out we couldn't. The country, and so that we had to drive across the.
So the story is that Pope, they set up to leave to go to Thailand, and then COVID happened, so they locked everything down. And of course, Pope and his family had kind of sold everything, right? And you guys were just then waiting to be able to get on a plane.
And the only planes leaving were out of New York, so we had to drive from San Francisco to
New York. That's crazy.
That is a
Hey, a
wild.
little bit of road trip, sounds fun.
Yeah.
Fun, not stressful.
Totally not stressful road trip.
No, low stress move during a pandemic.
Yeah, you got to just make sure you make it 3,000 miles during a pandemic. No problem. And hopefully, yeah.
I remember the podcast that Pope did from an ice cream shack.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah. That was
The
great.
ice cream shop, yeah. Pope has been on the show in many unique locations.
Yeah, that was awesome. I really wanted to see like an ice cream just appear in front of him.
Oh, man. That's great.
How long do we want to do Twitter questions for?
Let's just start now and then go until they cut us off.
Do some. I like that plan.
All right, so Mr. Goodbite says, can we get a cross-country DCP tour once the pandemic ends? Pope, you're included, by the way. But apparently,
he's already done
apparently
it.
no Holtzman. Yeah, right? Pope knows the way. He's got the map planned.
He's already
Yeah,
figured that
He's
one
got a
out.
Subaru waiting for us in New York.
That's as long as we don't have to plan anything. If we have to plan anything, it's going to be god awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So no planning.
I would love to do that. One of my kids just had somebody visit who's doing that right now. He's a 19-year-old kid, hopped in his car. He's taking a gap year from college. He hopped in his car and he's visiting all his online friends. And he's basically done a circle. He started in Atlanta and he's done a circle like of the United States. And he's gone to like California, he's gone up to Montana, he's gone to Idaho, like he's gone all over the place visiting all his online friends.
That's cool.
And now he's going up to Maine. Yeah, and it's taken him 2 months so far in the car.
Wow.
I thought that was
what
really
a cool
interesting.
idea. Just to be like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go visit all my online friends. That's what I'm doing. Going to go. on
Yeah,
a road
right.
trip.
Like he's vaccinated, so it's pretty low risk
Yeah.
at this point.
That's cool, man.
Pretty cool, I thought.
That's very cool.
I'd love to do something like that. I don't know if like family obligations would allow it though. The Mohegan 9 says, what one event in your life could be made into a movie?
Oh, boy.
That first episode of DCP.
What was the question? Sorry, my cat wanted to be part of the show.
What one event in your life could be made into a movie?
In my life? Oh, geez.
I feel like it's almost your whole life, right? Like the journey of being, especially for Holtz, it's the journey of doing content creation and then going into the gaming industry, moving to Seattle and working at Bungie. Like I feel like that's it. I'd watch that movie.
Celia in chat.
Bacon Baby?
Yeah, Celia in chat said Bacon Baby, and I agree. Bacon Baby should definitely be a horror film.
It could be a horror movie.
How the cat wants out of the room.
I think Pope's whole description of going across country and then to Thailand during a pandemic literally is like a movie, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Mohican says, "What is something you ate as a kid but would never eat now?"
Okay, so I gotta say something.
Okay.
There's a great subreddit that I
3D
can't.
Doritos.
I guess I can't say the name because there's a curse word in it, and we're on a charity stream. But yeah, it's like a food subreddit where people post like just other people's recipes that are just god awful.
Yes.
Okay.
And doing that has inspired me to like see what's the worst thing that I could make that's also good. And let me tell you, I've gotten into making egg salads recently after like going to Japan, experienced the convenience store egg salad sandwich, which is just wonderful. And I can make those now. And well, I had some of that. And then I also had 2 pieces of leftover pizza. And so I took those 2 pieces of pizza and then put some egg salad in between the pieces and then put them together and made an egg salad sandwich pizza.
Yeah.
Was it good?
That sounds disgusting.
It was food.
It was carbs and protein and fat.
Yeah, it fulfilled all the requirements I needed.
Food sounds like a stretch in this situation.
Wait, did you say it was refrigerator pizza? Leftover slices? Refrigerator pizza?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was all cold, which is how an egg salad sandwich should be anyway.
Yeah, but it's like leftover pizza. You know, it's got the fat that's been hardened.
Like
congealed fat on the pizza, right?
Delicious.
Mayonnaise, just congealed fat, and then egg salad sandwiches are full of those, so it works.
God, that sounds awful.
I would not eat that as an adult. Would I have eaten it as a kid? Maybe. If someone just was like, "Hey, I got this like egg thing and pizza," I'll be like, "Haha, it's funny," and then I eat it.
Yeah, mayonnaise for me as a kid was a big no-no. I was like, ugh, mayonnaise, get that out of here. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, things
when I was a kid, I used to open a can of refried beans, dump it into a bowl, microwave it, and then just dump sour cream on top of it, mix it up, and just go to town. I don't know if I'd make it now, but it wasn't.
I mean, it's
it
not
was
bad.
An egg salad sandwich with pizza bread. That's fucking disgusting.
Y'all like having using like a cream of mushroom soup to like make gravies and other stuff for other dishes?
Yeah.
I remember.
You ever just had a can of cream of mushroom soup just on its own?
Like without adding milk to it?
Nothing to it. Just cream of mushroom soup, boom, bowl, warm it up.
Just congealed fat too.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
We're
I thought
learning
it would
Holt's
taste great.
specialty in the kitchen.
I've missed
it's
this, man. I miss these crazy food stories from Holtz where I'm like mildly gagged out the entire show, but still entertained.
We were lucky enough to raid Holtz. What was this? A couple of months ago now.
Oh my God, please.
And a Holtzman had they started making 3D Doritos again, and Holtz actually did the baby birding.
Not
trick.
just once. For maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. It lasted a very long time.
I couldn't stop watching. I was
4
bags and horrified, but I couldn't stop watching.
Yeah, it was a train wreck. I was like, I have to watch
4
this.
bags of 3D Doritos were consumed during that time.
Whew, man, that still makes me kind of sick. Thinking about
Don't
that.
raid Holtz and bring up 3D Doritos. Okay?
Yeah,
especially if I have 3D Doritos on hand.
Yeah, don't double dog dare Holtz on anything. He will do it.
Yeah. If it's disgusting and involves food, Holtz is on it.
Speaking of delicious foods, Ringo the Dingo says, "Hey, lore masters, after last week's DCP, I'm a little confused, so maybe you can help us out. What does witch cream taste like?"
Funny you ask. It's like egg salad sandwich between 2 slices of 2-day-old pizza.
After reading that low
3-day
drop,
old.
that
3-day.
sounds about right.
3-day old
sounds-
pizza. One piece was a margarita pizza. The other was a supreme pizza.
They were two different pieces. Wow.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Wow.
that's a lot of flavors happening there.
Yeah.
So disgusting.
That is wow. I was thinking like something like 3-day old halibut with maybe a little bit of black mold. on it.
Microwaved in the like works microwave.
Where's
Yeah.
the creamy part? Is it
Well,
because
the
it's
cream
old and
is-
mushy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which cream?
Creamy.
I mean, it's not
and-
gonna taste good. Not like
No.
Vex milk.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Q has some rapid fire questions for us, so just shout out your answers.
All at once?
Favorite, yeah. Favorite exotic.
Last
Drake's
word.
Promise.
Drake's Promise. Favorite enemy faction in Destiny 2? The Fallen.
Your mom.
Fallen.
They're not enemies anymore.
Some of 'em are. I'm still killing them.
The Fallen are enemies. Elixni are friends. So, yeah,
I'm pretty much just shooting all of them that I see.
the ones that are shooting you back, those are the Fallen. The ones that are in the tower,
Yeah.
the homies, Mithrax homies, those are the Elixni. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good,
okay.
that's a good point.
Got it. Favorite raid?
Wrath.
Yeah, Wrath is so good. It's tough to beat Wrath when you think about everything:
Really
the
like
loot,
Wrath.
the experience, the music, the vibe.
The journey across
journey.
the
Dragon Soul in World of Warcraft.
There it is.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Which cream?
You ever take an egg salad and like mix it into ice cream?
So there Holtz was one night trying to figure out a sweet treat. He had an egg salad sandwich left over 2 days old and makings for ice cream. And he thought, why not?
Is Pope there, by the way? Mr. Pope?
Not sure.
I hear it lighting up. I want to see it.
Say
lighting
something, Pope.
Favorite condiment or sauce? Ketchup. I love ketchup.
Ketchup. Yeah, Chipotle
Goopy
mayo.
mayonnaise.
Goopy
What?
mayonnaise. Wow.
Koopy.
Goopy?
Kewpie.
Okay.
It's a Japanese mayonnaise. It's really
Oh.
good.
Yeah, I
Japanese
really
mayo
thought
is
you were
delicious.
doubling down on the congealed fat thing, being like goopy mayonnaise.
I mean,
Mayonnaise that's been left like
we're not
in the
straying
sun
far
for a
here
couple
with
hours.
mayonnaise.
Yeah. Sun-kissed mayonnaise.
There you go. Sun kissed. We have now permanently lost Pope Bear. It's it's a typical DCP podcast.
It
You wanted
is,
the
right?
classics? Here's the classic.
This is a classic,
Yeah.
yeah. Wait, what was that? What was the question again? I want to answer it.
Ice cream.
Favorite condiment.
Oh,
right,
oh yeah.
condiment.
No, the ice cream thing. Yeah, the condiment ice cream. Chipotle mayo for the condiment. Ice cream, I think, is going to be mint chocolate chip for me. It used to be Reese's, but I found I have a slight allergy to peanuts, so I kind of have to stay away from like
That's
peanut
a bummer.
butter cup Reese's Pieces style ice cream.
Zachary Richin says, "Hello, everyone. What is your advice that you have learned in relationships that you can give to new couples? Stuff like making sure you carry a spare toothbrush and toothpaste, or even have hand soap."
Look,
That's
just
cancer.
just
New
get
relationship advice. What do you got?
okay. Relationship advice. Just get the awkward
2 minutes
stuff.
of relationship advice.
Get
believe in you.
get the awkward stuff out of the way.
Like 3D
immediately.
Doritos.
Just admit
Fart
that you eat your
everywhere.
burgers.
3D Doritos, bacon baby.
Yeah, admit that you eat your boogers. So when you're watching Frozen and there's the scene where like he's like, "Oh, I bet he eats his boogers," and she's like, "Oh, no, he doesn't do that." And then the guy's like, "Everyone does," and I was like, "Yeah, I do that." And then Andy was like, "What?" Just admit it. Just admit it.
You eat your own burgers? Boogers?
Burgers, yes. I eat my own burgers.
Yes.
They're delicious.
To one of those questions, I will never tell you which.
Next time we host Holtz, we're getting a show. I would say listening and like actual communication is probably one of the most important things. Like you got to be able to listen. and then
I think that's
understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Retain
Start
the info
communicating
too.
all the time, a lot.
Yeah, don't never hold in something that is kind of mildly bugging you either. Just put it out there.
Yeah, just fart. Just let it
because
go.
Let it cut one.
If you let that kind of stuff just like build up, and I don't know, you can
Guys,
ruin a good thing.
we
It's
have
better to just
40
talk it out.
seconds.
40 seconds.
Oh my God, we're done.
Do you want to hear from Pope? Pope Bear, are you out there?
I can't tell.
He's moving.
Someone needs to stop watching Netflix on his internet.
Someone's stealing his internet.
Yeah, I think.
All right, we should probably wrap it up. Tef, do you want to wrap it up?
Thanks for being here, everybody.
This is Space DCP 243 episode Space Edition. Thanks for watching.
Check out the GCX charity stream. Donate lots of money. Great money for the kids. Save lives.
Yeah, when is
and
our
we'll
charity
see you
stream
on
again?
Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific, DCP block. It's going to be great.
There you go. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in. We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, Sam, just like that, we're at the end of the first day. Of course, we're not done. We've got so much more stuff throughout the weekend. And of course, this thing has been running now for a handful of days. But just to recap for you, obviously, we had Commix earlier. We had Star Wars and Scotch. We had DCP. Oh, it's been a great. Is this a kickoff? Do we get to call this a kickoff?
Assume so. First day, it's a kickoff. We've got a couple more days to go. So I'm excited. And also, I don't know if y'all are paying attention to the Twitter or anything, but the space station is open. So you can get all up in there. However, bear in mind that there might be some technical issues here and there. So just be patient with everybody in the team. They're doing great. They're doing a lot of hard work. And we're appreciative of them and all the behind the scenes. But I really hope that y'all enjoyed today. I know I did. It was cool listening to it.
I had fun. The little bits that I was able to listen to here and there. You know what's weird about doing this entire thing, and I'm sure you'll understand this because you've done plenty of events before. Events all day, every day, your day is planned, almost down to the minute. They know where you're headed, what time your call time is, what time you need to be on stage, what time you need to be in makeup. This is way different because you kind of have that, but with it virtual, nobody's in front of you. Like, where are you going? You're on in 5.
The amount of meetings Rukari and I are doing behind the scenes.
So I have on one screen the panel that's happening, and I have my headphones on. I have my MacBook over here, and I'm like, this headphone's off, and I was listening. And actually, for your guys' information, I was in a meeting looking at the countdown timer, being like, I have 5 minutes left. And they were like, Rukari, do you have anything to add? Nope, sounds great. I gotta go. Oh man. So I'm sure that's happening in a lot of your lives too, but we appreciate you being here and we thank you for it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure tomorrow we start up at the exact same time, which was, time zones. So that's 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern.
12 p.m. Eastern. There we go.
There we go. We got it. We figured it out. So yeah, make sure y'all show up again here tomorrow. We've got more stuff ahead this weekend. But before we actually completely end, Rukari and I are about to dip out. However, sorry. We have one more thing to show you. Yeah. We have one more thing to show you from St. Jude and Miguel, a former St. Jude patient and current ALSEC employee. So thank you guys so much and enjoy the rest.
GCX. And today I am joined by Miguel. Miguel, I am incredibly grateful to talk to you today because you've experienced the mission of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital firsthand. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how your journey at St. Jude started?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Ben. And hello to the entire community. What's up? I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. If you have my picked up in my slight accent. So not being from here, you probably wonder how do we get here? Well, is because of St. Jude. I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 17 years old. There was no treatment available in my home country, the Dominican Republic. And so after flying here to the United States and looking for many places to get the treatment that I needed, none of them could provide it or we couldn't afford it. At some point, we were being charged $500,000 before the treatment started. And so not having the money, not having insurance here. And then finally we got to St. Jude and there it was like, oh, don't worry about bills. We're gonna take care of you. We're gonna give you the surgery that you need to cure you from the type of cancer you have, which was a bone cancer. And thanks to that, I was able to go on remission, which means cancer-free.
That is an incredible story. I talk all the time when we're educating people about St. Jude, about how their mission reaches like much farther than just their own backyard, right? They're not just treating people within a 50-mile radius of the hospital. It's folks all over the world.
Yes, and I have met people from all over the world, and like from my time being at St. Jude, and I have had friends from all over the world, and really St. Jude is not a mission that is secluded to only the Memphis area where it is located. It's a mission that reaches all over the world. And we like to say that even though St. Jude is not in your community, our research is, because truly the research done at St. Jude saves thousands of lives around the world.
I mean, it's true. The distribution of research that you all do is something that is a huge passion point for me. The first time we went to the hospital, that was what really got me excited. They were like, everybody here leaves their research unlocked, and they publish it and all this other stuff. And I had a little bit of an academic background in my past, and I just thought, this doesn't make any sense, but it's amazing. I loved it. That's one of the things that makes St. Jude special to me. But for you, I'm curious, what is it to you that makes St. Jude special?
For me, it's the people. Well, the food, but also the people. I mean, the St. Jude is like a community I had never experienced in my life, either before or after St. Jude. Now living here in the United States, like the people there at St. Jude are so caring. The doctors there, they just don't care about whether you have money or not, where you're coming from, what do you believe, what do you profess, nothing like that. The only thing that they're there for is for your well-being. And that's what makes St. Jude so special. And that is what it means so much to me, as well as what you have touched already on how the treatment is being shared worldwide. So that means that more kids don't have to travel from the Dominican Republic here to Memphis, Tennessee to get the treatment that they need, because now St. Jude is advancing in helping other hospitals to get to where St. Jude is at, so kids can be treated there locally. So that's what makes St. Jude special to me. I mean, I still have relationships with my doctors. I reach out to them, and every year on the anniversary of the surgery that saved my life, I reach out to them and say thank you. So it is, yeah, it is a community.
That's incredible. What is? I'm gonna take a second, and what is it like to be able to be sort of colleagues of these folks that perform that surgery, and to be able to see them around? What is that experience like?
Yeah, and so for folks in the community that haven't caught up yet, not only am I a former patient, but now I work for St. Jude, raising money and awareness. And so these, what Ben is saying, my colleagues now, yes, it is tremendous, because I get pleasure from looking at families that are going to treatment, and then they come back like a year later, 5 years later, and their hair is back. And I'm very happy because I was able to contribute to that. But on top of that, I'm a former patient, so I know that same feeling is going through the hearts of the people that took care of me. And the fact that I see them as I walk to the cafeteria and get to talk to them, they just look at me and say, Miguel, I'm so proud of you. I look back at them and I say, thank you. I'm so proud of you for the amazing work that you did to save my life. And it's a feeling, a connection that you cannot really explain, but I'm so grateful for that.
That is so incredible. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I did jump ahead a little bit, but I was enamored by that reality. You, as you mentioned, you work for ALSAC, the fundraising and awareness organization for St. Jude, and actually, I believe we met previously. Once of which you gave us a tour. Yeah. So
yeah, not only that, but I remember we also took a picture. You probably don't remember this, but it was at the zoo. And my brother was with me because he's so into Destiny. He's the only game he plays. And as that was happening, there was somebody in the karaoke machine singing Uptown Funky using his Kermit voice. I can't remember who it was, but it was a great time. So yeah, totally remember.
That is amazing. I do remember Uptown Funk with Kermit voice. That does ring a bell. But we touched on it a little bit with you being able to, be colleagues now, working alongside these doctors. And you've already touched on it. every time you spoke, because you are experiencing the continued commitment, you know. So you're experiencing the continued commitment of St. Jude to every patient. What is it like for you being part of that continuing mission for St. Jude on the fundraising side of things?
It gives a complete different meaning to what I do on a daily basis, because I know that what I'm doing actually has meaning. As being a recipient of the hope at St. Jude for the mission, at the mission of St. Jude, I know that the money that I'm raising is not going to somebody's pocket to make them rich. This is straight up going to the families and to the research that is saving thousands of lives worldwide. Like, the number of kids that are going to be diagnosed with cancer every year is staggering. And so we need to do something about it. Right now we are celebrating like Survivor's Day. It was actually last weekend. And now it has a deep meaning to be a survivor, and also a reminder of we have to do more for the kids that are coming after us, that we have to find a cure for them, that they also need an opportunity to live. Because I was like anyone in the community right now, everyone in chat, I was one of them. I still are, but cancer just show up all of a sudden. There was no cancer in my family, just show up. And so for me, being able to be on the other side, it means so much to be able to give back and to do something so that those cures can be funded and those cures can also be given to the people that need it.
That is amazing. Yeah, the gravity of being able to go back and to give back is it's everything that you have just been telling me about your story just puts a smile on my face, because there's this reciprocation of like, you know, St. Jude's mission affecting you, and now you're having the same effect in this like beautiful causative cycle in there. It's wonderful. It's blowing my mind.
Yes, and I think you just said it so well. It's this continuous cycle of just giving thanks and giving and receiving and giving and receiving. I think that encapsulates very well what's happened, because it's not only me, but we have so many other cancer survivors that are also working for St. Jude. And we have this deep gratitude inside of us, that we know that we want to go back and be part of that core team that took care of us, so we can take care of others. And that's an amazing blessing, an amazing feeling.
It has got to be. To change gears very quickly, since we're going to talk about video games, I've heard around that you have been into gaming for a long time. Was that part of your treatment while you were at St. Jude? And then I have a ton of gaming follow-up questions.
Oh yeah, the first game that I ever played growing up, I think I was 5, was Super Mario for the NES. For the NES, yeah. And since then I've been hooked. And for me, it was a big part of my treatment at St. Jude. And the story that I always like to tell people is I got this game and I started playing it. And I was playing in one of the common areas and one of the housing facilities for St. Jude. And then kids will come from all around and they would just sit down next to me just to see me play. And this is back in 2011. And there was one kid who didn't speak English, but then he started learning English so that he can speak to the rest of us and participate and be part of the game. So I always think gaming as a wonderful community that get people together. Like, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what your diagnosis is, you always can get down to, hey, let's beat this boss. Let's go down to that dungeon and let's beat this game. And it's a great sense of community, so I love it.
The deep dive into that's I mean, you're right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we don't have to talk to shoot at the bad guys. Like, we can, like, we can go finish this raid together, even if we're incapable of speaking. That's it really does transcend language like that. So what is it right now? Like, what are you playing currently? And what is your all-time favorite game?
Yeah, so what I'm playing right now is Pokemon Go. Believe it or not, I moved to Michigan just for the summer. My now wife, because I just got married.
Congratulations.
My now wife, she's doing an internship because she's going into healthcare, and so we're here. And we moved to this place that has 2 Pokemon gyms in Pokestop right next to us. And so, like, for my living room, I'm able to battle, and so that's what I've been doing, playing some Pokemon Go. But if you know me, my all-time favorite game is the Legend of Zelda series. Like, hands down.
I'm a big fan of Legend of Zelda. I'm A Link to the Past is like probably up there on my favorites list. And then, okay. So I'm going to ask you this question. Did you ever 100% Majora's Mask?
I did not.
Oh, good. It's so stressful. Oh, man.
The daytime mechanic just throws me off every time.
Yeah, that was, you know, I had some friends that did that, and then I was always jealous of their achievement. It was like, how did you ever? Yeah, that's good old Majora's Mask.
Yeah, till this day, I watch people speed run 100% Majora's Mask, and it's one of the most fun you'll have.
Oh yeah, it is an excellent speed run. So what is it that you would like to say to the folks watching at home right now, you know, watching the GCX marathon? What would you like to say to the gaming community that's rallied behind St. Jude?
Thank you guys, because it's because of donations and the time and the awareness that you bring in to St. Jude is that I'm here today, and that many other folks will have an opportunity, a shot in life to be whatever they want, whatever they decide to do. An opportunity to play video games after treatment. And kids, people with cancer are just like you and I. They were just having a good time at some point, and then cancer show up. And so we are doing a great thing by contributing to this mission of St. Jude, that is bringing hope to the family that need it the most. And even though St. Jude might be in one place, we are sending all the research that we're doing in finding cures and curing kids to all hospitals around the world. So it's a wonderful mission to be part of. So thank you very much.
Well, that made me very happy. So I'm sure everyone watching is feeling the same way. You know, if you're watching right now on the charity marathon, you know, these are the moments. These are the kind of things that you empower, that you enable. Everything that you've seen, everything that you've heard about today. So, you know, I want to say thank you from us, the gaming community, to St. Jude for, you know, believing in us and believing that we represented part of your, you know, the future of St. Jude and something that's valuable for you all. And I want to thank you for giving your time to come talk with us today. And if you're watching at home, make sure you click the donate button and help support the incredible mission at St. Jude.
Yes, donate, and thank you very much.